All right. It's open mic night, which means it is your night to sound off every Wednesday. I love to give you guys the mic, pass it over to you, get your thoughts. You let me know what's going on tonight. We're going to talk a lot, I imagine, about Deebo, but there are many other things that we can discuss. I'm going to leave it up to you, and we're going to do that on the other side of the intro. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And as I stated before the intro, it is open mic night, which means it is your night to sound off. So there are plenty of things that we can talk about. Again, the Deebo Samuel thing looms very, very large. One point that I made yesterday, and I made it just now on Grant's show, is that a lot of people think that we have until July or June to get this thing done. I completely disagree. The Deebo Samuel situation, we will have it figured out by 4/29. And why that date is so key is because that is the second and third rounds of the draft, which is Deebo doesn't get traded in the first, second, or third rounds, then he's going to be here most likely long term. And he's not going to get traded this offseason at the very least and will be a 49er next season. So we are going to have a resolution to this problem very, very shortly. That's why I think it's very important that we discuss it. We can talk about maybe you checked out the Trey Lance interview or the interview with his quarterback coach that I had just a few days ago. Maybe you want to talk about that. Or maybe you want to talk about something completely different. I will leave it up to you. Like I said, it is your night. Let me get this overlay going. Got a new one for y'all tonight. Hold up, hold up. There we go. There we go. All right. Let me bring on the first guest. Always the first guest, Korean 49er. And he's doing me a solid right now. You guys don't see this, but he's wearing his shades right now. I absolutely love it. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Look at it's meant to be tonight, man. Every other week it doesn't work for us, but tonight it works. I love it.
Several points I want to talk to you about, Jesse. The first point is about Frank Gore in the Hall of Fame. I love Frank Gore. He kept me optimistic during those bad 49ers seasons, when he was drafted through his last season with the team. And all I have to say is look at how he felt and showed his emotions after Harbaugh was leaving after that final game. That tells me everything you need to know. I do not think he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
A very good running back, but the Hall of Fame should be for elite players only. I don't know what he was elite at. He was very good at a lot of things, especially pass blocking, but I don't believe he's a Hall of Famer. Ring of Honor at Levi's, no problem. I don't have any problem with that, but I do have heartburn with putting him in the Hall of Fame because I don't put him alongside of like Earl Campbell and Jim Brown and Walter Payton and those kind of backs.
That's totally listen. It's funny because so while this whole thing went down, I think when this whole conversation started was the day before I had my first eye surgery, which was like last Monday. And so I had the conversation on Spaces and I had the conversation on Croc Show because I had done it before the eye surgery. And so I haven't had this conversation over here, but unfortunately I agree with you. To me, he was a great player, right? But I think if you let somebody like Frank Gore in, you have to start letting a lot of other guys that I think don't necessarily deserve to be in the conversation in. And the way that I've always looked at the Hall of Fame is it is the elite of the elite. Now, I understand longevity plays, especially a big factor at the running back position. But that being said, that is like the one thing he has to his name. He never was the best running back in the league. He has a one-time second team All Pro. And I know those things can be the those can be personal opinions because it's something that's voted on every year. I understand that. But you even if you go back and look at the numbers, like he wasn't ever like the guy. Now, he was always in that top 5 to 7, or he was many years, but to me you have to be the guy at least once, right? When I look at people compare him to a Curtis Martin and a Jerome Bettis, those guys have first team all pros. Curtis Martin led the league in rushing one year, right? These are things that Frank Gore didn't do. So I do love Frank Gore, one of my favorite 49ers of all time, one of my favorite players of all time. I'll always admire him and love his game and respect him and the things he brought. But for me, the way I judge the Hall of Fame, I don't think he should get in. But that being said, I think he will get in, and I will be very happy when he does.
I don't have a vote, so I have nothing to say about him being in the Hall of Fame. I loved watching him play, and he was 5'9" when the rest of the offensive linemen were 6'4", and he's like a little guy just coming right out of the trees.
Oh, I
Hard.
love that. Like nobody got skinny when they hit the line as much as Frank Gore did. The way that he would creep through some of those lanes was I loved watching it, man. I really loved watching it.
Yep. Second point I'd like to talk to you about is about Deebo. I do want him to get paid, but right now he really needs to keep his mouth quiet because you're negotiating against yourself. You said 25 million. Niners could start up at a real small number and negotiate you down. So just let your agents do the work for you. Not don't just keep your mouth quiet. That's all I gotta say about that.
Well, and the thing with Deebo is that I maybe I'm wrong. I have to go back and listen to the interviews, but I feel like at some point he did say he was going to let his agent handle it. But I think that he got sour because some of the negotiations came back and some of the things that they said about him came back. And so for me, um, I think that those things wore heavy on him because he really does give his all. And so he got frustrated. And so he's doing the only thing he can do, right? And it's tough because if I have a vote, I'm gonna lean more towards the player. And I understand everything Deebo is doing, and he's doing what's within his control. But then the flip side of that is at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a 49er fan, right? I'll be a Deebo fan for as long as he plays. He's my favorite player in the league, but I'm also always going to be a 49er fan. And so if that's the case, I got to also understand where the 49ers are coming from. And I do. I understand where they're coming from. I don't know what that number is, what that magical number is that Deebo's looking for, but I understand why both sides are going at this at a certain angle and running with it. And I think that they both have valid points to make.
Agreed. In the end, it's a business deal, and no reason to get sour or pity patty about it. So, and I'll let you go on this last point. What do you call the winners of free agents this current free agency?
Like what team would I say, or like a joke? This is like a joke question.
Yes,
Okay. What do I call the winners of this free agency?
of this offseason's free agency. Free agency, excuse me.
Dang it. I'm usually good at these things too. I don't know what do I call them?
The 31 other teams that did not trade for Jimmy.
Oh God, dude. You know what? Here's the funny thing about that. I don't know if you remember this, and I might have said it to you the first time I said it, but I remember saying very clearly, we're gonna know Jimmy's value by what the Pittsburgh Steelers do. And I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to choose Mitchell Trubisky and draft a quarterback. And that's basically what's happening in front of our eyes. Because why would you trade for Jimmy Garoppolo and spend assets on him when he's not enough better than Mitchell Trubisky? You don't have to give up anything for Mitchell. You don't have to pay him near as much. And you get to keep that capital to actually draft a quarterback. Pittsburgh is actually the team that set the tone very early on what Jimmy's value was and was not. And it's funny because I said that early on and I didn't take my own advice when it came down to other teams being in it for play. And I think a lot of that was my heart and hoping that Jimmy would be gone, and it just never materialized.
Until I get proven otherwise, they Eric Bader of Baller 18 and I are both on the same page.
For sure.
We believe
Yep.
that Jimmy has little to no trade value. So, but did you
Well,
watch the Cone Zone today by chance?
I didn't know.
Yesterday I should say
No,
yesterday.
I didn't. I wanted to because that's my favorite show is him and his dad. I love that relationship, but I haven't peeped it yet. No.
It was good to see Lowell back. Always appreciate his takes and thoughts. But he talked about Jimmy and what Bill Walsh would do. Bill Walsh, Eddie DeBartolo, if they had Jimmy,
Mm,
they would get rid of him real quick because they would find out that he's not going to take you to the promised land.
yeah,
And
and
he's
I.
proven it.
It's funny because people want to point to the Montana and Young thing, but Montana was already an established all-time great, right? Jimmy is not that. So no, not at all. They wouldn't keep Jimmy. I really don't believe that.
No, that's how I just base what I say about Jimmy is on the field. It's not about what he does. You know, if he wants to go to the club in the off season, I'm not going to lose a second of sleep over it. But
Right.
you know, I can't have you throw two obvious passes to Jalen Ramsey in the championship game.
Yeah.
You can't do that. I understand if you're
I feel
desperate,
it.
you know, if it's desperation time and you got to take a chance, that could happen. I said I can understand that, but you can't do it when the game is still in balance.
Yeah. I feel it. I feel it. Yeah. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. All right, brother. It was good talking to you again. We'll
Thank
talk
you.
next week.
Yep.
Later, man.
Okay. Later.
All right. Not your average sports kid, and I think it was 9 something. You guys call back in. You guys were actually going to be next in line. So I'll give you a minute. I'll read this super chat. And then if not, I'm gonna go to Ryan from No Border Sports. But you guys were next, not your average sports kid, and I think it was 9 drinks. Jamal coming in, he says, this guy still got the shades on. Not sure why he's so Hollywood because he got to 5K. The switch up was quick. You and Sunil, man, you guys are busting my chops over this one. I promise it's not because I've gone Hollywood. I swear it's because I had eye surgery. Hopefully next week I'll be able to take these stupid things off. But very, very funny. I love the troll job. I appreciate you, Jamal. Always one of my favorites for sure. Let me give you some love. I got Crypto Ryan in the back giving me the dance. What's going on, man? How you doing?
What up, bro?
How you been, man?
Oh, been good. You know, it was funny. You were talking about you missed the cone show at cone zone, and I missed it too. I was having a crappy day yesterday. Well, no, I had missed it coming up. I have a crappy day. Went on lunch, and there it was, and it was just it brightened up my day.
Yeah, those two, man. Like I said, I lost my dad a couple years ago, and before I even knew Grant, I had tweeted at him and at his dad that I loved that show because you just see the genuine, especially from Lowell's side of things. Like I see it from a father's perspective. Now that I have kids, and so when I basically sit back and recognize the love that Lowell has for Grant, how proud he is of Grant. You just see that oozing through the screen. And so for me, I just love that dynamic.
I love how Lowell brings him back to center at times.
I do too. Yep.
So I was actually going to bring up, I didn't know you had eye surgery. I thought you were trying to steal my game that I had stole from Shardal, who stole from Bay Area Baller. So I was, about to call you out on that.
It's like the shade inception. Is that what it is?
Like this new graphic, I must say I've never looked this good ever before in my life.
Yeah, listen, man, you look like a baller. I feel like you could be the quarterback of the 49ers the way that I'm looking at that graphic.
Tell you what, I could get some ladies like this. So I think I found who the Niners might draft as guard/center.
Oh, okay.
Have you looked at
who in what round?
Donovan West, and I'm guessing they're going third. Yeah,
Arizona, right? Is it Arizona? Yeah.
Arizona State. He seems like a young Alex Mack. Got short
Yeah.
arms. He's a little undersized. He's quick on the feet, though. Smart in the head. You know, fits that
Yeah.
outside zone.
Yeah. Well, and he could play center and guard a little bit, right? From what I
Yep.
understand. Yeah.
And
The
then,
only reason I know about him, I got to give credit. Brad over at the SF 49ers,
oh,
he's the offensive lineman guru. And he was in a space a couple weeks ago and mentioned him. So that put me onto him and I watched him a little bit. But I got to be honest, when I watch offensive linemen, like that's just not my forte. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that off on him. And if he says the guy's good and other people are saying is good, then I'm all about it. You know, I definitely I feel like I can peg quarterbacks really good. Like that's where my lane really is. Defensive backs I'm kind of hit and miss on, and some of the other positions I'm a little hit and miss on. Offensive line is one that I no clue, man. You could show me 10 offensive linemen, like, yeah, no, they look good. You know, I don't really know what I'm looking for when I watch them. So I'll defer to other people, but I've heard him say that he's really good. I've heard you say it, and I've heard a few other people say it. So I got to believe it that he's
I don't
probably a great pickup.
I don't know if he's necessarily going to be really good. I just think that it everything fits the 49ers scheme. Not only that, but John Lynch is friends with Herm Edwards, and Herm Edwards is Arizona State's coach. You know what I mean? So it
Mhm.
seems like another how they think they found Ayuk. It seems like they're just kind of going back. Same thing like with Deebo and then Kinlaw. You know what I mean? It seems like they like to reach back into places where they feel comfortable and good connections with coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I also heard him talk about. I think it was him. He talked about a couple offensive linemen. I thought one of them that he had talked about was him, and he had talked about Brad had talked about his athleticism, that he had tested off the charts athletically, even though he didn't have the long arms, was a little bit undersized. Athletically, he tested off the charts. I could be mixing and conflating a couple guys, but I swear he was one of them. Maybe I'm off on that though.
I don't know. I think it might be Tyler Lindenbaum because he seems like hit all his measurables as far as like his arms and whatnot. They're a little under. They're not the best, but the guy
Mhm.
is a beast. He's there's also another guy I was looking at. His name's Marquise Hayes. He's a good power guard. He's a big chunky guy. Reminded me, he reminded me so much of Trent Williams, like the nastiness. Like he's just throwing grown men around and he's pushing them down. You know what I mean? He's just dominating people. So he's not for us, but he's gonna be a brawler out there. I think I also found a guy that we might draft it to take DJ Jones's role.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
he's not really a pass rusher, which is like why I think they're going to try and pick him up. He's he can he can clog up the double A gaps. Like he can totally dominate that. Most people think he'd actually be better in a one technique and in a 4-3 instead of a zero technique and a 3-4. Um, so it's just right up our alley. But his name is Neil Farrell. I don't remember
I've
what
heard of
school.
Neil Farrell, but I have not watched Neil Farrell. Okay, tell
Yeah,
me about him.
he's like a day 3 guy. He just seems
Okay.
like he's a good sturdy run blocker, and with all that strength that he's got to be able to plug up that gap, he should be able to if he can learn, Coach K's bull rush technique. I've never seen I've never seen anybody use the bull rush technique where they put their hands out front like that and go like at the belly button.
Hmm.
Never seen that technique used. And when I thought about it, I was like, it's almost perfect. How do you really defend it against that unless you can get a hold, you can push their hands down before they contact with you. That's the
Yeah,
only way you can
yeah,
defend against that. Once they get it in, they're below they're pretty much right above your center of gravity and pushing back on it. You know what I mean? Lifting
yeah.
you up off your center of gravity. It's just seems like havoc. And I think this is definitely something that could play in this man's wheelhouse.
How much does he weigh? Do you know? Like how
Oh,
tall and how much he weighs?
I didn't write that down. He's a big boy.
What's what's his name?
Um,
Farrell.
Neil Farrell, 2 L's.
Neil Farrell Jr.
See, because I think they need to, try and get some.
LSU.
Is he?
LSU, is that where he comes from? Neil Farrell Jr., interior
He might have
defensive
been.
lineman.
D-tackle, yeah.
Okay. 6'3.5", 338 pounds. Yeah, he's a fat daddy. Yep. He'll be perfect. Yep, he'll be perfect.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So
I like it. I'm all about it.
And if they're smart about it, it's a late third day, pick, and they could turn him into a gem that could be a great rotation piece on the line that can shore us up on first and second down. Especially if, Kinlaw has any issues or anything like that. You know what I mean? Imagine, Kinlaw working out and having this guy work out at the same time, and you can have Eric Armstead at defensive end on first and second down with Bosa on the other side, and just a whole bunch of meaty guys up there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You can never have too many fat daddies, right? You can rotate those guys through. So I'm all about it, man. And you're right. Kinlaw's a question mark, right? We all hope that he's gonna play great and be fine, but he is a question mark. Like bar none, he's a question mark.
Yep, he says he's doing good, and this and that. But we thought we heard that last year, but now he's saying
and we heard it about D Ford, right? So
yeah, anything.
I'm hoping
coming
for
out,
the best, but you got to prepare for the worst.
Most definitely. Yeah. Well, that's all I had, sir.
All right, brother. You have a good one, man. We'll talk maybe next week. All right.
You got it.
All right, brother. Later.
Peace.
49ers first takes. Aaron hopping in. What's up, man? How you doing? He says, long time no see, Jesse. I feel like that's a play on these glasses I'm wearing, but I'm going to let you slide. Hope you are a blessed one. Hope life is a blessed one. I got one question. Where's your chain? I know I need a chain. That's why you reminded me, because I got these, I got my little cross chain and another chain, but I need like the gold chain. I need that Deebo chain, right? So, maybe one of these days we'll break it out. Or actually, I need a chain like buddy that calls in with the helmet, the whole helmet. That's what I need. But I appreciate it, man. Always good to hear from you. Check in with 49ers First Takes if you are not subscribed over there. Great guy. Definitely love Aaron. And let me show you some love, man. All right, we're going to go William, and then we're going to go Keith, and then we're going to go Wheels Up. William, I saw you dancing in the background. I wasn't even playing any of the thank you for the donations. You were just back there dancing, having a good time, man. Love to see it. I know life's going good for you. You got a big old smile on your face. I would ask how you've been, but I know it's been good just by the demeanor. But what's up, man?
Well, actually, it's been crazy. My agency is splitting in half, and right now we're going through the motions of splitting the agency into two. But sometimes you just gotta smile and put a smiley face on. It's good to see you, Jack.
Yeah, good to see you too, man. In moments like that, right, when things can be chaotic, hectic, all those things. I think just remembering that you're blessed and you're healthy, your family's healthy, right? Like those are the things that truly matter in those moments. So right. I love the optimistic outlook, man. I really do.
I mean, facts of all the things that's going on in the world, Ukraine, New York subway, just just with all the things that that's going on. I just seen today that for some of y'all are probably too young to probably even know this guy, but I seen that Guilford Godfrey passed away.
No, man. Yeah. That's the, for those that don't know, the voice in Aladdin, right?
So many. So
or not the genie. He was the who was he? He was in Aladdin, though.
I forgot who voice he was the voice of, but he's done so much in his career. But the one thing that always kicked back to make me think of him was, it was a saying and it came from him, and it was like, I'll buy that for $1. It was an old saying that was on RoboCop, but it just kind of went like viral at one point. So that just popped in my head when I seen that he had passed away. But it just lets you know, man, time.
Oh, he was the parrot. That's what he was. He was the annoying parrot, Jafar's parrot. That's what it was. Okay.
Time moves on, man. Time waits for no man, and you gotta, you always gotta sometimes just look for the silver lining in things and be glad you're awake. Be glad we're employed, and we got the use of all our limbs. You know,
Yeah, I feel that, man. Yep,
you
that's
know.
a great way to look at it. Yep.
But I did want to say, what I don't know if y'all have scheduled this together, but you and Rob both having surgeries at the same time. He got a bandage on his nose and you're wearing glasses. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah, it is funny. We definitely didn't plan that out. Shout out to Rob. Thoughts and prayers go with him. I think his was a little bit more serious than mine.
Yeah,
Mine looks pretty bad. Both my eyes are black. I look like I got hit in the face by a prime Mike Tyson. But no pain. And I gotta heal up, take the time to heal. I think his was a little bit more serious. I don't want to put his business out there, and I'm not positive about it, but thoughts and prayers with him. Hopefully everything's good with Rob as well. Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, I was just talking with him today on Twitter, and I was on his live, and he's doing good. He's doing good.
Good.
He just had a few couple stitches, but he did a live today, and he was good. He was good, and
Good.
just like you, he's healing. So
Yeah, for
man,
sure.
I'm glad both of y'all are doing well, man, and that shows a true dedication to your craft and to us as fans. That even with what y'all going through, y'all still keeping these lives going for us, baby.
Thank you, man. I
Appreciate
appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
you. You know what I'm saying? But to some Niners news. I say, and I'm gonna touch on it real fast because I said it on pay Deebo his money. I'm so over it, and I think fans in general don't understand when you hear these players are getting these $100 million contracts and things like that. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's so wow, and it's wild to us who don't have that kind of money in the bank. But to these billionaires, that is a drop in the bucket of what they make out of an NFL season. So pay that man, because it's a slap in the face to make him play out his rookie year before you extend him. And if I was him, I don't know how that would make me feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, for real? Because honestly, a lot of people talk about Deebo's rookie season. If people don't remember, in that Saints game, it wasn't just Kittles who had a memorable play. Deebo actually became Deebo in that game because if you remember that catch, he caught it over two guys down the field. He strong-armed them for that catch. And that's when he became the Deebo that we know today. So
Well, he did it against Baltimore too. I remember the
yeah,
Baltimore one.
Deebo's a legitimate athlete, and pay that man his money. Let's stop playing him.
He's certainly one of one. Okay, I'll throw this out to you. So I threw this question out to Grant. Hopefully you didn't see it, so this is new to you. We were playing a little game of Would You Rather to end the show. And the question I asked him was, would you rather trade Deebo, and let's assume that his value is what Tyreek Hill's value was, which was the Jets offered 35, 38, and 69. So trade Deebo or make him the highest guaranteed paid non-quarterback, which would, just for reference, would be around $81 million guaranteed. And that's more than TJ Watt just got his 80 million. The sixth highest paid non-quarterback guaranteed money is Tyreek Hill at 52 million. So it'd be 30 million more guaranteed than what Tyreek Hill is getting, and more than all the defensive pass rushers, offensive linemen, everything. So trade him for that package or make him the highest paid non-quarterback of guaranteed money all time. What are you choosing?
Dang, Jesse. Oh, you had to think of this. This was just don't seem like he was just on top of the dome. That's a big one. 80. That's big. That's big. Oh man, 80 mil guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm ready to go that high. Am I ready to go in the realm of 65? maybe even shy. I can feel that. I can feel him on that. And the only reason being is he's not just playing one position.
Hold on, you got really quiet on me.
Hold on one second. Somebody's hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, somebody was trying to call me. I called them back. They'll be all right. The thing I'm saying is he's like a utility knife. If you're going into the forest, are you just gonna bring one knife, or are you gonna bring a Swiss Army knife? If you ever seen this show called Naked and Afraid,
I love that show.
they allow them to bring 2 items.
Yep.
And I always look at it and say, what items do they choose?
Mm.
And I'm like, what good is it for us both to bring fire starters?
I feel it.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people jump on Deebo talking about, oh, well, he only got his touches during the runs. Oh, well, he's not really a legitimate receiver. You got to understand, you haven't seen Deebo as a receiver because he's had to play in the confines of Jimmy's limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Jimmy. Love him. Love what he's, how can I say it? I love the infusion of hope he's helped bring to the Niners. And I stated that way because talent-wise, Jimmy hasn't really done a lot for us. He's put butts in seats. He's sold some jerseys. But he's really been a passenger in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah.
So it's a lot of quarterbacks I've seen that really could have done what Jimmy took in Jimmy place, and we could have still gotten the places we've gotten. No disrespect.
Deebo makes the quarterback better, right? Like no matter who it is, because he is that safety blanket. Putting you on the spot, William. What are you doing? I see you trying to think through this and talk around it. What are you doing? Are you paying him or are you trading him?
You picked that up. Oh my gosh, man, that is such a. Probably 80 mil, and I would hate to have to do it, but to make him the highest paid non-quarterback, I would probably have to let Deebo go.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like that's the breaking point. At some point, there's a breaking point.
But at some point, there's a breaking point. And for me to give him that kind of money, that means you got to produce last season every year. Yeah. And honestly, I don't see me paying that much money. His health would become a serious issue. Because we've had a couple of close calls last season to where Deebo has took hits, and I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
He does. He seeks out contact too, right? Which the thing that you love about him is the thing that scares you to death. The one play that stands out to me more than anything, William, and I'm gonna have to let you go after this just because it's starting to pile up back there. But the one thing that stands out to me, the one play, is against Arizona. He took a little 7-yard dump off, got up the field, easily was right there at the sideline, could have gone out of bounds. He decided to take an extra step inbounds and lay the wood on the defensive back that was coming. And I'm like, right there, I said 2 things to myself. Gosh, I love Deebo Samuel. And then I also said, gosh, I worry about Deebo Samuel. All within one play. It just hit me right then and there. The things I love about him are the things that worry me about him.
One thing before you let me go. Yeah. I think the game that scared me for Deebo, I think it was the Green Bay game. I think he was running. I think he got blindsided. He just took a hell of a man hit. And I was just like, oh my goodness. But the one thing I have a question for you. Deebo, if it came down to it and you had to go off of their resumes now, Deebo, Nick Bosa. And I think I know your answer, but please.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna let you go and I'm gonna answer it while I do the super chat. Is that fair?
That's cool.
All right. Oh man, he definitely put me on the spot there. Golly. I'm going to lean Bosa, but it really is a lot closer in my mind. Grant posed the question to me, and I didn't really answer it. I kind of danced around it. He chose Deebo. Man. Golly. I'm going to choose Bosa, man. That's tough, but I'll put my flag in Bosa. I'm going to choose Bosa. I don't feel great about it, but I'm going that route. Keith, before I get to you, SG Sports Channel says, Jesse, how's your day going? Listen, man, I'm blessed. I'll just put it that way. Definitely doing some soul searching lately, and I am truly blessed, man. I really am. And then Niner by nature, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Says, I just want to thank your parents for creating you. Take my money. Hey, I appreciate it. And that's a joke. That's a long-standing joke between you and I, where somebody said, I want to thank you for being you. And I'm like, hey, thank my parents for creating me. You can't thank me for being me. I didn't really have any part in that. So appreciate y'all. That means the world to me. Thank you so much, Niner by nature. Let me show you guys some love. All right, Keith, you've been waiting a while, man. I appreciate your patience. Just for you and everybody else, I'm going to try my best to keep it to the 5 minutes now because I got like 8 or 9 waiting. And if I give everybody 10, 15 minutes, we'll be here all night. So what's up? First and foremost, how you doing? You're muted. I think your mic is muted.
Yeah. I said, I don't need that long, man. You was calling. You popped up on my YouTube. Let me holler at Stevie Wonder real quick.
Hey, listen, I've been called worse. I'll say that. But yeah, man, I had some eye surgery, bro. So the glasses, it's funny because I've been getting a lot of slack for it, right? And I love the jokes, but the first show I did, I said, I want to make sure that everybody knows that I'm not as big of a douche as I look right now. I promise you.
But I'm glad you talked to my guy in the last segment. I want Deebo back. Let's be clear. But at a certain price, like I compare Deebo to two other hybrids. That would be Kamara and McCaffrey for Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Even though they're different in physical stature and all that, they both play certain hybrid roles, kind of like Deebo. And Cordero Patterson probably. What I will say is, sorry, that's snowfall in the background. What I will say is, Kamara has played through his contract and been durable, right? What I worry about Deebo is Michael Thomas just signed that big deal with the Saints, right? Mm-hmm. And where has he been since he signed that contract?
Nowhere.
Man with the surgery right before the season started. I mean, Sean Payton, when they gave him that interview, you could see he was red-faced. And so when I look at when I look at Cheetah and Devontae Adams, they've been doing it 5, 6, 7 years. And as much as I love Deebo, his rookie year was a big year. I know people are playing that down. His second year, he didn't do as well, was injured some. And then his third year, he exploded, obviously. But I'm kind of with you. Even though Bosa had the ACL, he was dominant. He's been dominant every day he's been on the field. I don't even think he's had a non-dominant game. So I would have to go that way. But Deebo looks irreplaceable till he isn't. And I think he would need to show me something for a year or two more before I just say, man, you're going to get $80 million guaranteed. I don't see it. And I love it.
80 million changes things, right? When you look at it that way, it changes things. And here's the thing, Keith.
I'm not. He can't hold out, can he?
I mean, he technically he can hold out, but it's not going to do anything for him because he's going to lose a lot of money first and foremost. And if he holds out to the point to where he doesn't play, his contract just basically gets frozen. Like he would still be under the right of his same contract when he came back to play for the 49ers. So right, I don't foresee it getting there. Right? What's that?
I said like the Le'Veon Bell thing.
Yes, exactly. Yes. But when you're on a rookie contract, it's even worse, man. You really you have almost no leverage, right? And so this is why he's taken to social media the way that he is, because this is his only leverage, is to try to get everybody talking about it, drumming up interest in the conversation. And so it's his way of putting his story out there through social media.
I agree with you 100%. And I still don't think. And so here's the thing: I know Deebo Samuel's agent personally, but I just told him to get Deebo paid. I didn't say put the 49ers in a handicap situation where we can't do anything like forever. So I just don't. I hope we can get to a number that is reasonable for both sides. But in this situation, this is about as far as I can see. Because even Kansas City says, we're not going to do it. We got to let you go. And so the only thing that I'm more hung up on is Trey Lance's growth, and I want him to have all the weapons available to him.
I agree.
And so tell me what you think about that. Because I feel like we're in a situation where we kind of need him. So it's like, I don't know. I think we're in a rock and a hard place. Tell me what you think about that. I'm going to let you go, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for calling in, man. You can call in anytime. All right. Yeah. Of course. Like, this was my argument with Grant when he was talking about trading Kittle. It's like, you can't trade Kittle now. Like, Deebo's a little bit different because you can trade him now and it's not going to hurt you salary cap wise. With Kittle, it would. You have to wait till after the trade deadline, really. And if you do that, you're not really getting anything. Like, you're getting future picks, and that doesn't really help you this year. With Deebo, you can trade him now and get assets now, but you're not going to find another Deebo. So you have to settle for other things. So for me, yeah, of course, I'm certainly I would rather keep Deebo. Like, there's no doubt about it. I would rather keep Deebo if that's what it comes down to, if that's the question. But how high does the money get? And again, it's not my money. I'm just telling you what I would do as the 49ers if it came down to the scenario I laid out. And I don't think it's going to be that high. But if that's the scenario, I'm trading Deebo. Like, I have to. I'm not going to pay him 80 plus million guaranteed, because it's not just about Deebo. It's now I've reset the market, not only for wide receivers, but every position in the league. And so I'm shooting myself in the foot if I do that. Long term, I'm a year away from having to pay Bosa, or even this offseason. If I give Deebo 81 million guaranteed, do I got to give Bosa 100, 110, 120? Like, where does it stop? You know what I mean? So for me, you just have to cut your ties at that point. You've got to do it, and that would be unfortunate. But if that's what it came to, then I gotta move on. William Bennett, he was just on. He was the one that was just on and posed the question to me: would I choose Bosa or Deebo? He says he would go with Deebo. His health has been better than Bosa. True. Ripped ACL every other year. Well, plus not only that, he had the hernia thing, right? And or the stomach tear, the hernia. Yeah, I think it was a hernia thing. In college, and yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, he's been more injured, right? As much as Deebo worries you, it wasn't an ACL. It wasn't anything like that. It was a broken foot that led to him being out of shape ultimately, which you can understand. So yeah, it's not near as scary as some of Bosa's injuries, and I agree with that. Let me show you some love, and we'll get on to. We're gonna go Bay Area baller. We're gonna go Sersky. Then we're gonna go Faithful Trey, Swan Song, Rocky Mountain, and then Tua. All right, that's the order. If you guys can't stay, I totally understand. I just want to be respectful of your guys' time, give you the order so that you guys know exactly the route that we are going to take. Let me show you some love, and we'll get on with it. All right, Bay Area baller. I know he's going to bring the energy. First of all, before you say anything, Bay, let me tell you, and I retweeted it, that impression of Grant was so money, man. Thank you so much for doing that. I know you owed him that because he gave you an impression of you, which I also thought was great. But that impression of Grant, you came on you came on with the hair slicked to the side, the whole look, everything. I loved it, man. That was A1. If you haven't seen it, it's on Grant's channel. You can check it out on Twitter as well. Did you post it on your channel or no?
No, I was
You
happy
should
you
have.
clipped it. You did the work for me and cut it up. So no, I retweeted it, and yeah, Grant had it coming. And the thing with Grant is, he dishes out a lot of heat, but he also takes it in stride, man. That's
For
what
sure.
makes Grant. And I'm glad you liked it because I put a little work into it. Took a few notes. Uh, but hey, Jesse, I really wanted to ask you. I got a couple players on the 49ers who I think are poised to break out.
Okay.
And
And
and I
did
want
you catch Grant's show or no?
I was in and out. Yeah, I was checking out after dark.
Okay.
It was
The
definitely
reason I
hyphy
asked,
tonight. It was hyphy as
it,
hell
it
tonight.
was it was definitely hyphy. The reason I asked though is because we did give a breakout player, and the rule was we couldn't say Brandon Ayuk because I feel like that's the hot thing, the popular thing to say. I've said it in the past, and pretty much I feel like everybody has said Ayuk. So I wanted to give a different name. So if you haven't heard it, that's perfect because it'll be new to you when I tell you one of my guys. But yeah, give me some guys.
Yeah. Well, first I wanted to touch on Kevin Givens, the
Right.
defensive lineman, right?
Love
And we
this.
know his snap count has hovered around 30% or so. But with the departure of DJ Jones and Arden Key, because Arden Key was getting a lot of snaps inside. So with those two leaving, I know we brought in Hassan Ridgeway, but I think it kind of clears a path for Kevin Givens to increase his snap count, therefore increases production. And I put out a video on my channel of just, 4 or 5 of plays that highlighted Kevin Givens' acceleration off the line. Because the way he just bursts through at the snap of the ball, and gets into the backfield, making tackles for loss or just disrupting plays, causing havoc. But I wanted to hear your opinion on Kevin Givens and if you think he's a potential breakout candidate. He's only got 1 sack through, his first 2 or 3 years in the NFL. But I'm thinking, the production's going to increase. Maybe he can get to 4, 5, 6 sacks. What do you think about Kevin Givens?
I think that that's a great choice, by the way, because Ridgeway is going to be like a first down guy, right? Maybe first, second down, depending on what the situation is in the run game or what have you. But they're going to need somebody that can be interior next to Armstead and basically be a pass rusher. And I think Gibbons does have the skill set. And in fact, it's funny that you bring up his name because he is one of the reasons I was totally okay letting DJ Jones walk. I also want to throw this out there. For those that don't know, I'm going to trust you on this one because last offseason, you said your breakout defensive lineman was who? Arden Key. And
Arden
how
Key,
good did
baby.
Arden
And he
Key
proved me
play?
right. I called into
Did
Grant. I said, Grant, man, Arden Key, this guy's going to be second on the team in sacks behind Nick Bosa. And I think Grant thought I was crazy or delusional, but it ended up playing out that way because, yeah, the sack number was low for Arden Key when he was on the Raiders. But if you watch the film, and I know you watched that breakdown I did on Key, he was just around the quarterback so much. You felt like that production was just going to blossom. And sounds like you're on the same page with me with Kevin Givens. So I like to hear that. Another player, I think, on the offensive side of the ball, who I think is going to really, man, and you kind of opened my eyes to him. You made the comment that Ray McLeod was a former running back, and I
mm-hmm.
hadn't known that at that time. This was like days after we signed him, and I'm
Yeah.
watching the film right at Clemson. I'm watching what he did with the Steelers or with the Bills. But after you said that, I went back to the high school tape when this kid was a running back, and dude, he was dynamic, and that's why on the offensive side of the ball, I think Ray McLeod is going to be this breakout performer. We know Kyle Shanahan, he doesn't just sign or he doesn't want just a return specialist. He wants guys who are going to be included in the offense. So I'm expecting big things from Ray McLeod. I mean, we didn't pay him chump change. He's making what, five,
No.
6 million per year. So I had a hot take that I actually said on Cone Phone where I think Ray McLeod is going to outgain Jawan Jennings in terms of like receiving and rushing yards combined. Because I think they're going to
Oh.
split slot duties, right? Two completely different slot receivers, right? Jawan Jennings is your prototypical big slot. He's a little bit slower, but he's a good route runner. I like Jennings.
but I just think Ray McCloud is so dynamic. I think he's going to get some carries in the backfield, jet sweeps. Let me hear your thoughts on Ray because I know you've done your homework on him.
Yeah, so Ray McCloud went to high school here in Tampa, owned many records as a running back in high school, and I like what you're saying there. And the reason that the reason I like it, and then I'm going to push back a little bit, but the reason that I like it is because Shanahan talked about Cordero Patterson and how they've made a run at him multiple times, right? Which tells me that they are not afraid to pair a Deebo, let's say, knockoff with Deebo Samuel, right? And I feel like Ray could maybe do some of those things that Patterson does, right? And so if he liked Patterson, why wouldn't he use Ray, who was a high school running back, in some of those situations? And you remember with Deebo what he used to do. The way he used to get Deebo the ball was the jet sweeps.
It was the jet sweeps. And the first half of the Super Bowl, we were absolutely carving up the Kansas City Chiefs. And then it was like, where'd it go in the second half, Kyle?
Exactly. Now, then this year he changed up how he got Deebo the ball. But what he did though, when Deebo got injured in 2020, he started to use those jet sweeps with Brandon Ayuk. So I feel like that's where McCloud can make a difference. He can mix in the jet sweeps while Deebo's in the backfield, right? You put your eyes on Deebo, you mix in the jet sweeps, and I think that it can work, especially with Trey, because now you've got the element of, do you hand it off to Deebo? Do you get the jet sweep? Does Trey use a keeper and roll, right? Like, how exciting is that when you think about it?
Play action bomb to Ayuk?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many options right there. So I can see where you're going with this. The only thing I'm going to push back on is Ray has trouble holding onto the ball. And you know Kyle Shanahan, if you fumble, he will put you completely out of the offense. That would be my concern.
And yeah, but I'm aware of the fumble issues. And your boy, Tiki Barber, well, that's a separate conversation, but your boy, Tiki Barber, had a bunch of fumble issues too earlier in his career. So I think that's something that can be corrected and coached up. That's what I'm banking on. Jesse, thanks for the time. I'm going to leave you with I'm approaching 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm trying to get there.
How close
are you? I think I'm like 920 or 915, something like that. So I'm trying to get there. So
okay, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Here's what I need you to do, because you can't post it. I believe I can, but I've got it to where links are tuned off, meaning you can't post it in the chat. But what you can do is once I let you off stage, put it in the private chat here. I'll copy it, I'll paste it, and I'll make it easy for people to go subscribe. How about that? We'll try to get you there.
Hey, you're the man, Jesse. Thanks for chatting it up, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon. Later.
All
right, perfect. So when I post that, you go subscribe, right? Like, that's everybody else has got to throw that in. All right, we're gonna go Sersky, Faithful Trey, my guy Chad. Right, I'll give him the government name. Swan Song, and then we got Tua, and then then we got Kenyon. All right, perfect. So that's the route that we're gonna take. Let's go, Sersky. What's up, Sersky? How you doing, man?
Pretty good, Jess. What's going on? How you been, man?
Hey, I've been good, man. You guys had the space rocking. You guys did your show. You did your thing. You're pulling a marathon on me, man. You got some more Niner talk left in you?
Oh man, yeah, man. You know, I gotta keep it going, man. I'm trying to get the Niner talk going in the spaces too, man. You know, trying to get up to the way you at, man. You got all them subs, man. I'm trying to get to your level, man.
Hey, man, you guys will get there. You guys got a fun. You know what I like about Real Talk Niner Talk is it's unique. Like, you guys got the music going. You have a good time. You guys give the intros. You guys do some really cool things over there. So I think what you guys do is very different, and I think it'll definitely catch on for sure.
Oh yeah, man. Appreciate that, man. But yeah, man, about this Deebo situation, man, you know, I'm just prepared for however it goes. Like, if he signs, he signs. If he don't, he don't. I'm just one of those fans who's gonna be prepared for it, whichever way it goes. But at the end of the day, man, and the reality of it is that you have to pay this guy. Now I understand that 80 million is too much, and that's something that the 49ers don't do. They don't, they don't overpay, like other teams. They kind of like dress it out in a way to where, it works for both sides, for the team and to the player who's getting paid. But in reality, man, you got to understand, Deebo was drafted as a wide receiver, and that's what us as the fans thought we was going to see. Deebo just playing that position. But due to the fact that we had a quarterback, because he's gone after this season, he's not playing this stuff. Everybody know that. Well, we had a guy in Jimmy Garoppolo who was incapable of operating this offense to where Kyle Shanahan wanted it done. So in order to create another avenue for this offense to pull forward, you had to get him out of his position. So if you're looking at it from Deebo's point of view, if I'm in the negotiation room, that's something that him or his agent will have to point out, is that you drafted this kid as a wide receiver. You drafted this kid to line up outside, run routes, and catch the football and put points up to help this team win. You had to take him out of that role and put him as a running back. You had to have him play two positions in order to get the offense going, because you had a quarterback over there that can't even get the job done. So you took me out of my element and you put me in another position on the football field to do that. So
three positions, Sirski. Remember, towards the tail end of the year, what they do? They had him returning kicks.
Exactly, had him returning kicks, and then he threw a touchdown pass. I mean, right. he played quarterback too. So
and it was a good pass too, man. It was a legit pass.
Oh man, it wasn't overthrown. It didn't hit the dirt. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he threw. Deebo can throw a better pass than Jimmy. So I mean, look, man. At the end of the day, after what Deebo done, man, you have to pay him, because you got to remember, this during the playoffs this past season, when me and you look at it, Deebo carried that team in the playoffs. In the Cowboys game, he sealed the deal. He told Kyle, look, give me the football. And when he did that, after he said that, he got the football. And what did he do? He scored. Okay. In the Green Bay game on the line, you got the ball to seal it. To seal it, to get Robbie Gould to kick the game winner. We had to get 7 yards to get a first down and to put Robbie Gould in the field goal range. And Deebo ran it for 9 yards. And he got hurt doing it. He put the team on his back and did that for the team, and he got hurt while doing it, and Robbie Gould ended up kicking the field goal. But when you go to the NFC Championship game against the Rams, you didn't use Deebo the last few minutes of the game, and we lost. So that's something that Deebo and his agent need to put that in as well, is that I carried that team at the end of both playoff games, but when you didn't use me in the NFC Championship game, we lost. So that means something too. That's something that people are forgetting, and some people need to highlight. So that's why I say that it's very important that you pay him. Now I understand, like I said before, Jesse, I understand that the 49er organization don't overpay guys, but this is the thing. This is a real test for Parag and John Lynch. This is a real test, because they obviously messed up this whole situation with the Jimmy Garoppolo thing. Okay, so they messed it up. So this is a true test for them. They messed up. They pulled a plug on Defoe. And Defoe even said that he was willing to meet them halfway, and they still let him go. So this is a true test for Parag and John Lee. If they can pull this off, and they can dress his contract in a way it's satisfiable to him and satisfiable for the team, then we have to give John Lynch and Parag a pat on the back for that. But if they end up letting this man go, and he goes to a team, let's say he goes to a competitive team like the Chiefs, or stays in the NFC West and play with the Rams, any good football team, they're going to regret that. And it'll be real messed up if we end up playing a team that Deebo is on, and he does his thing, and us fans sitting back, crucifying John Lynch and Parag. You let him go, and look what he did to us. You know what I'm saying? So it's a real this is a real defining moment for Prague and John, and look, I'm gonna be rubbing my hands together to see how they do this. I'm really interested on seeing how they pull this off, because that brings up bagging in for Bosa. So I'm telling you, man, I'm really interested. I got my popcorn ready. I'm really interested to see how John and Kyle is gonna pull this off, man. What you think? What you think about that?
Listen, I'm interested to see how this goes too, and I think that we're in this situation because they're the ones that have played their cards wrong. The two things that I said entering this offseason, Sersky, was you had to get rid of Jimmy and you had to pay Deebo. You had to quote unquote overpay Deebo early to save money late. And the contract I laid out was 4 years, 100 million, 70 million guaranteed. And people are like, well, that's a lot of money. And yes, it is when compared to his peers. But remember, you are the one setting the market. Then you got the DKs, the AJ Browns, the Cooper Cups, some of these other guys that are going to come in and get the McLaurins, going to come in and overpay what Deebo just got. And all of a sudden, in a year or two, Deebo's contract, which was a lot in the beginning, is now very, very inexpensive compared to the rest of the league. So that's the way that I saw it. I still think that if they came in at that number, Deebo would definitely say yes to it. But right now, that's the priority. The priority is getting that Deebo deal done. And I know that traditionally they wait, we hear this, yada, yada, yada. I get all that. None of that matters. You don't have to wait until June or July or August. Right. There is no rule that says you have to wait. So why are we waiting on Deebo Samuel? Do something different than what you've always done. Get this thing done. Get this guy out there working with the rookie quarterback.
Yes.
You've got the team stuff coming up here in a few days. Wouldn't it be nice to have Deebo in the building, setting the tone and being there with the guys? That's where I'm at with it. And I'm curious to see when that team stuff comes up, if Deebo's around. I'm very curious to see.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too, man. Now, I mean, the rumor around the internet, on Twitter, is that Deebo seeking 25. Now, I'm pretty sure us as fans and the organization can do 25. So, I mean, if that's true, if that's what he really wants, then let's go ahead and get it done. But what would be totally messed up, Jesse, and this would boil my blood. I would be livid. Is that you let Deebo walk out this organization because you couldn't get this man his money when you got a $25 million quarterback who could never do nothing for this offense, who turned around, stabbed you in the back, said, I'm going to have shoulder surgery right when free agency starts. You know what I'm saying? And then back in 2020, you had a high ankle sprain. You was healthy for the last two games, and you decide to sit out and not go to war with your brothers. But you keep him around. That's something I would not tolerate, and I would be livid if that happened. They let Deebo walk, a guy who's proven that he can go out there and ball out playing two positions, and you got a quarterback that's making $25 million, can't even do nothing at one position. Come on, man. They better get it done, Jess.
Before I let you go, I'm going to agree with you. That is a fireable offense, period. Fireable offense for anybody that lets that happen. I'm 1,000% with you, man.
Absolutely, man.
All right, hey, tune in to Real Talk, Niner Talk. That's where you can catch Sersky. You can find them on YouTube. Multiple good guys over there, but Sersky's a part of that show. Also, you can catch Sersky in Twitter Spaces, one of my main guys. I appreciate you, Sersky. We'll talk soon, all right?
Yes, sir. Have a good one, man.
All right, man. You too. All right. As promised, I kept this chat up right here, or this comment up from Bay Area Baller, not because he paid me a compliment, which I do. I definitely do love that. But because I promised that I would put the link to his channel in the description. It sounds like he's less than 100 away from reaching 1,000 subscribers. And that 1,000 subscribers is a big deal for a content creator, because that's when you can get monetized, right? So if you like Bay Area Baller, if you like his calls, if you like him on the Cone phone, if you like him on Twitter, hell, even if you don't like him, it's free to subscribe. So link is in the chat. Just put it in there. All you got to do is tap on that, hit subscribe, help this man get to 1,000. I know he would appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that that Bay Area baller brings to the community, brings to the show. Absolutely love that guy. So if you could do that for him, do that for me, that would be awesome. All right, here we go. Faithful Trey, aka Chad. What's up, man?
What's the world look like in color now, dude?
I know, dude. It's a trip. I'll tell you, these glasses, man, the color on them. Like if I look at my phone right now, it is like super vibrant, like the colors are so vivid and clear. It almost looks like it's got like a 3D effect. It's crazy.
That's cool. So I just wanted to comment on this, and one of my much higher IQ football buddies was like, "Has anyone ever thought of this, or is it obvious that like that these agents at the top of the game likely have the intellect to do the math, and they're like, hey, so we've just recently seen what this does, and whitewashing your social media, it increases your value. Like it stirs up the market interest from everyone else out there. The precedent has already been set with Tyreek Hill, with Deshaun Watson. It's the hot thing right now, which then increases what San Fran has to pay to keep you. Look what it did for those two. Is this an agent tactic? Is basically what he was telling me. Like the conversation is like, hey, my dude, hear me out. Look what's hot as hell in the market right now. Listen, you go down to Florida and have lunch with Mike, stir the pot. Then comment on this post from Stephon Diggs, stir the pot. Then blackout on IG, stir the pot. They know that Shanahan needs to build chemistry between Deebo and Trey his rookie year. So it's vital. So they leverage that, stir the pot. Like, has anybody talked about this? Is it common knowledge? I haven't actually been with the information on Deebo too much.
Yeah, I've tried my best to give Debo's side of things and give his leverage and what he brings to the table. I've tried to let the 49er community know both sides of it, really, to the best of my ability. What the 49ers bring to the table when it comes to negotiations, what Deebo brings to the table. There is certainly a group that agrees with me and agrees with you, and that this is kind of a big deal, right? And
yeah,
I try to stress upon people that it's only a big deal for a couple more weeks, right? Everybody wants to talk about, well, the deal will get done when the deal gets done. They pay players later. I understand all of that, but the draft is just a couple weeks away. If the draft comes and goes and they don't trade Deebo, then we know our answer. We know that Deebo is going to get paid and that they're going to work it out, right? So this whole, are we going to complain for the next 4 months? No. We have to shed a light on it now because it's of the utmost importance now, because we're going to know in just 2 weeks what the outcome of this situation is. And if the draft comes and goes and he's on this team, you're not going to hear me talk about it anymore unless he throws out more things on Instagram. I'll definitely touch on it. But my worry level of Deebo leaving goes to none, because what are you going to do? Trade him for future picks? That doesn't make any sense. Not when you have that rookie quarterback or that quarterback in his second year. You're not going to do that. So he's either gone by the 29th or the 29th leaves and he's here. Maybe he doesn't have his contract by then, but I know that it's coming. So to me, I feel like this should be discussed right now. Like now is the time to discuss it. It doesn't have to drag on for 3 or 4 months. It is important now. So I agree with you.
My buddy was saying that he thought it was going to happen within the next week, but yours actually makes considerably more sense. Just in tandem with the draft, his basis was, being able to get Trey out there with him right now, and that was of the utmost importance, but not, the difference of a single week and actually knowing the definitive outcome. Agreed.
Yeah. And I think that's it, right? All right, brother.
And if they let Deebo go, then I'm 100% all in on Watson. Do whatever you need to do to get him, because he'll be worth it.
I know you're in on Watson no matter what, so it doesn't matter for you.
I'm not if it costs Deebo, because every projection and every prediction that I made regarding Trey was with Deebo in his pocket. You know what I mean? Like that's that's a safety valve unlike any other. So I think the Niners this coming year go as Deebo goes, and I hate to say that, but that's my belief. So anyway,
I feel it.
Peace out and have a good one, brother.
All right, man. Later. All right. Let's get him out. Let's go. I'm gonna go Chris. Actually, I'm gonna jump over to Chris real quick. What up, Chris? How you doing, man?
What's up, Jesse?
This is not a voice that I hear often on my call-in show, man. I don't hear it
What do
enough.
you
So
mean?
when you call in, I gotta hear it.
I called in several times
You
during the
have.
season.
No, I'm not saying you haven't called in. What I'm saying is I don't hear it enough, right?
Oh yeah.
When was the last time you called in, Chris?
It's been a while.
Okay,
the season's been slow. I do
Okay.
watch your stuff though. A lot of times I watch is when you're not live, and so I always watch you. I watch you and Grant together. I just came on here to say what's up, man, because I haven't been on. See, that's why I came on.
I also know you want to touch on this Deebo thing because I know you got your blood, but I've seen some of these comments in the chat, and I know you want to touch on this.
No, actually, I haven't been paying attention to the chat.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't really have much to say on it, I guess. But I mean, we can go there if we want me to. Well, this is my thing, and I spoke about it I was talking to Croc about it today, but I was talking to Vish about it too. It's mind-boggling to me that these fans just always like to come from a team's point of view and not the players. People will say, "Oh, I do understand the player, but the team." It's like y'all are taking up for $1 billion industry. Deebo, look, put it like this. Let's just say they make Deebo wait, right? And Deebo have to play during the season. If Deebo tears an ACL, if Deebo tear his Achilles, guess what? He's not going to get the bag the following year because people are going to be like, well, he's got to have a prove it deal now, and he's got to do this, and he's got to do that. At the end of the day, the NFL is not for long. Not every player gets to that second contract. Most players last in the league for like 3 years, maybe even less than that. This is not a league where you get where it lasts long. And then guess what? This NFL stuff is only for a few years. Meaning, let's say Deebo plays for 10 years. That's it. It's not like one of those jobs where me and you can work and we can get 30, 40 years on the job and then retire. No, he's doing it for 10 years. And then at the end of the day, 80%. 80%. Now, this was from the last documentary that happened on ESPN 30 for 30. What is it called? Money, or was it called Broke? With the
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
80% at the time. 80% of these athletes go broke. People see the LeBron James, the Magic Johnsons, the Kobe Bryants, and think, oh, everything is peaches and cream after they play. No, that's not true. That's not true. 80% of these athletes go broke after they play. And I mean, it's something that we would have to have another show on because it's a deeper topic because of where a lot of these kids are raised, and this is their first time coming into money. So they're not understanding what they need to do with it. So that's a whole different topic. But for these fans to not even see the human element of it, at the end of the day, our fans, and I'm not just talking about Niner fans, but just many fans, and I tweeted this. I said they treat these players like they're only entertainment and not as people. And when the players want to be selfish and think about themselves, fans get mad. They take the owner's side, the team side. Well, if he wants all this money, he can go play somewhere else. Oh, he wants to do this, he can go somewhere else. Oh, we don't need him. Kyle Shanahan made him. This, that. I'm just like, bro, chill. Start looking at it from the player's point of view. These players need to get paid. These players got families to feed. And it's more than just families. They've got a team of people. Yeah, folks should even think about what they got to pay their agent. They gotta pay. They gotta pay whatever they gotta pay. They employ a lot of people too. These players employ people too. They gotta pay their PR. They gotta pay their assistants. I mean, their marketing team. People don't understand this. So I want Deebo.
They also got to pay a whole crew of people to train him and keep him healthy in the offseason.
Exactly. I mean, Russell Wilson puts $1 million in his body. LeBron James puts $1 million in his body. Some of these other athletes probably put $400,000 to $500,000 on their body. At the end of the day, there's a team of people they got to pay, and not to mention Deebo. I mean, not to mention these people got to take pay cut. I mean, got to taxes. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so much, and I'm just like, when what happened in society where we take the billionaire side? What happened in our society that we do that? These billionaire people don't even care about y'all. They all about money. They make so much of it. They're billionaires. These players are rich. They're not wealthy. LeBron is wealthy. Kobe was wealthy. And a few Mayweather and a few others were wealthy. But the majority of them, I don't even want to say the majority of them, a certain percentage are rich, and then the rest are just getting money until their time is up in the league, which is, like we said, about last 3 years. It's over. It's over.
Yeah, I think, and so I want to try to wrap it up and put it in perspective like this. So, okay, obviously Deebo, we're talking about a lot of money, right? Like, it's life-changing money no matter who you are. And I understand that portion. But if Deebo gets injured tomorrow and tears his ACL, to your point, let's say he can never play football again, something happens. He made what, $7 million in his career? You take that $7 million, you look at the taxes, now that's cut in half, right? You're talking about $3.5 million. You had to pay your agent probably 20% of that, right? So now you're talking, I don't know, another $1 million or so gone out of that. And then you've got the rest of your life on, and that's assuming he kept and whatever. Maybe he could have diversified or whatever, but maximum, the most you're talking about is around $2 million to live on for the rest of your life. That's not enough money. Have you seen inflation? Like, that's not going to get it done. This isn't the 80s, right? So yes, that's the way that people have to look at it. Now, obviously, people are going to say, well, the difference between, let's say, 50 million guaranteed and 70 million guaranteed, he's being selfish. That's a lot of money. And they're looking at it from the team perspective. And I don't think that they're looking at it from an owner perspective, Chris. I think that they feel invested in these teams with their time, their money, their energy, all these things. And so they put the team, quote unquote, above the player. But to not even look at it from the player's perspective at all, and to your point, look at these guys as entertainment and not people, man, I try to stress the importance of the people aspect so much. And that was my whole gripe with Kyle Shanahan during the season. If you remember, or anybody that watches, if you remember my gripe, it wasn't with play calling or decision making as much as it was the leadership role, the people role, and managing the people. Because I look at these players as people, and I understand that there is real emotion, real thoughts, real people behind these jerseys, these helmets, all those things. And it is extremely important. And so, although I try my best to give the team aspect and the player aspect, if you're just asking me personally, who do I side with? I side with the player because I understand what it takes. Then the flip side of that is I want him to get his money, even if it's not with San Francisco. And of course, I'm going to continue to root for the 49ers, but I'm not going to be happy with what they did to Deebo and how they handled the situation. So that's where I stand on it.
I agree. Thank you, Jesse, for letting me come on and speak on your show. Love your show. Keep it up. Love that hat. That hat is dope.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Only, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
All right,
yes, sir. All right, man. Later. My guy, Chris. All right, we're going to go Swan Song, Tua, Kenyon, and then Wheels Up. Swan Song. What's up, Swan Song?
What's up, man? So, yeah, I just wanted to reply to the last caller. I mean, I understand where he's going with that, and yeah, of course, you feel like for the person, you're always gonna root for the person, right? But another thing that I find is like people get too pissed off on what they see from people that post on Twitter. Like a lot of the people that post on Twitter, it's just if they're gonna say stupid ass stuff, I don't even bother ignore it now because it's like, what's the point? Like, there's going to be always stupid people that say stupid stuff. So it's like, you just move on. You know, maybe I'm just jaded and like I just feel that the way that you act in any type of, you know, environment you're in, it's just, that's where you're going to be. Yeah, it's anonymous on Twitter, so you can be stupid. But like some of these guys, they say the wildest things, right? But you can't take that as like what everyone thinks, right? Because mostly normal people don't think that way. You know what I mean? Like normal people, everyday people don't think that way. And maybe those people don't even think that way, but since it's anonymous, they just say stupid stuff. And at that point, you just don't listen to it. You just ignore it, right? When it comes, I wanted to bring this topic before I got to Deebo, is that in the NFL, everything, or in any market, right? There's a cycle, right? And when I say that is that various times in the 80s, 90s, I wish I could document it, but I mean, I just take my word for it, I guess, take my impression of it, is that, you know, right now, there's a lot of money going in wide receivers, right? Like we're seeing that trend, right, this offseason, right? But there's going to be a point when every team is overpaying, right? And the NFL and any closed market is a zero-sum game. Meaning, just because you sign players, great players, there's always a winner and a loser, right? So even though all this stuff that happened in the NFL this season, you think all those teams are going to be 12-3 or whatever? You get what I'm saying? It's a zero-sum game. It all balances out, right? So just because a team is doing all these things, it doesn't mean that they're going to be successful. And those teams that get burnt, and more often than not, it's going to be the ones that get burnt because there's only one winner at the end of the year, right? If you don't win it, that doesn't mean anything, right? So people are going to be saying, or if you're the team that did all that, went all in, right, and didn't get the championship, ultimately you're going to go, man, that was a failure, right? Yeah, sure, we had some good times, but at the end of the day, it's a failure, right? So to bring up Deebo and all these things is the reason why I'm more fiscally conservative about this. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Deebo. He means everything to this team. And yes, it will make Trey's job a lot better. But like you said, there comes a time when there is a price. We don't know what that price is that they're comfortable with. I get why you would say 80 million, because if you say anything else, people will be arguing about 10 million, 5 million. So just put a high amount and then you get a more fair reaction, right? I'm gonna tell you, 85 million. There's no way I'm trading Deebo. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? Like, depending what I'm gonna get for Deebo, obviously, right? As you know, we discussed on Twitter today. I think what you could do to meet halfway or to make this a compromise is you give Deebo 40 million, 45 million at signing, right? And then the next year you give him another 25, 30 million, whatever. Right. And then if he gets in this crazy injury, right, he'll still have that 40 million that he just got. But now that 30 million, he's not going to get that. Right. That protects the Niners. That protects Deebo. He's still going to get 40 million. Right. And that's if he gets hurt. Right.
Yeah.
And then what I suggested would be even nicer would be you give him the 30 million. And you prorate that in the fact that, hey, if he plays 14 games, like let's say he plays 12 games, right? Some deals where if you don't hit that 14 game, you get nothing, right? I would make it where every game that he plays, it's prorated, right, of that 30 million, right? So that it's fair, right? So if he plays 9 games, he gets whatever, 18 million or whatever. If he plays all 17, then he gets all of it. I think that's the thing where it's kind of like, hey, you're meeting us in the middle, where you're getting your bag early, and everyone's happy. And that's the best way of negotiation, is that both parties are happy. Like a bad negotiation is one's pissed and the other one's, happy. And that they're not going to be that happy about it either, because, from the 49ers point of view, they don't want a disgruntled player, especially the culture that they want to build. They don't want that disgruntled player, right? So when it comes down to it, yeah, I mean, I'm speaking from from my point of view, and I think a lot of people that are not on Twitter saying crazy stuff, I think most of the people, if you talk to them, I think they'd be reasonable about it. So it's like, I hate trying to paint boogeymen, right? Like I don't like that, just because you're succumbing to their level in a way, right? When you get mad about it or you get disturbed about it, because they win in a way when you do that, right? So I don't want guys that pick their nose to be winners. So you know what I mean? But
here's the thing. Like, here's the thing, right? Like, to me, there's certainly an amount, right? Like, like, some people are like, well, just let him write his own check, right? Like, whatever that amount is, you pay him no matter what. And to a certain extent, right? Like, whatever he's worth, right, to the league, whether that's with the 49ers or the Jets or whoever, like, I want him to get the most that whatever his value is to the league. Like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, if he's on the Jets, I'd be rooting for any type of contract. I don't care.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, right? Like, I want Deebo to get his no matter what.
Right.
But also within reason if it's on the 49ers. Like, I can't, to me, it would be really hard for me, and not just because it's Deebo. Like, I'm cool with Deebo right now getting paid this money. But if Deebo got paid, and this is why I throw out the 81 million guaranteed, because that would be the highest guaranteed money out of any player that's not a quarterback. If that's the money or that's the amount, I got to say no, because I'm also trying to pay Bosa. And whether I think Deebo's better, Bosa's better, whatever, that's splitting hairs. The point is, if I pay him 81 million, well, defensive ends prior to paying Deebo that 81 million were the highest paid guys other than quarterbacks. So that means I've reset the market, not just for Deebo and wide receivers. I've reset the market for every player in the NFL, which means now I am paying Bosa 100 million, 120 million. Like, I'm just shooting myself in the foot. So for me, I can't do that.
Yeah, and the thing, another thing too, is that I know Deebo's always been Deebo, right? As far as being productive, like, he's always been that dangerous player, right?
Yep.
Yes, he's got the injury thing, right? But coming from the 49ers point of view, they have to consider that as part of negotiation, right? Like, that's just part of it. Like, just think, someone put up, I mean, this is a very simplistic analogy, right? That someone that tweeted out. If you get a 3.0 your first year, right? And then your second year, you get a 2.0. And then the last year, you get a 4.0. You're not getting a Harvard, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, you got a 3.0.
Yeah, you're not getting a Harvard. So I'm not saying, I mean, granted, that 4.0 is like, damn, like, he probably more like had a 4.5, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then plus, of course, if you bring something that's so special like that, you know, he deserves to be paid for sure. But at the same time, you got to see it from the 49ers point of view, is that, dude, we set a bad precedence if we do this for ourselves. Because what happens next year, God forbid, Deebo gets hurt, right? Or maybe not even get hurt. But let's say, what if Trey prefers Ayuk for whatever reason, right? Because, you know, young players are going to more. I know that Trey spreads the ball. I get that. I love that. But would you knock him if he targeted one person more often than not because he feels more comfortable being in his second year? Like, this is another thing that I point out. Sometimes when you have a mediocre quarterback or a young quarterback, right? Sometimes the weapon that gets used, sometimes they get overinflated stats because they're tunneling, because that quarterback is tunneling. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can have things like, I'm not saying that's why Deebo is Deebo. Not saying that.
Deebo is a G either way. But what you're saying is, if Trey Lance has tunnel vision for a Kittle or an Ayuk and it's not Deebo, then what does that do to Deebo's production? And so all of a sudden you're the highest paid player, and you're having good seasons, but you're not having like the great season again.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't mind that from the if it makes sense why Deebo is like, hey, Deebo's open, you're not getting the ball. We can't blame Deebo. So I'm rational about that. But more so in that, okay, so now Trey loves Ayuk, right? And he's throwing to him. And now Ayuk balls out and gets a 1,400-yard season, 1,500-yard season with 12 TDs. Now you're going to pay him the bag too?
Yeah.
You
No,
get
that's
what
a
I'm
good point.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
you're going to reset the market on, well, I'm not saying reset the market, but you can't have those two there like that, right? So, I mean, it's tricky. At some point, like, I used this analogy on Crocker's show this morning. Like, I'm the sixth kid, the youngest, right? You know, I'm a Vietnamese refugee, not meaning to get all personal, but so my oldest brother, like he was raised in Vietnam, I was raised in the United States. Anyways, he had it good, right? Because back in Vietnam, you know, the family was good, blah, blah, blah. We come here, we came as refugees, had nothing, right? But he's always had it better because he's the first kid, right? when you get to the sixth kid, yes,
all the hand-me-downs.
yeah, exactly. I'm spoiled. My brothers and them spoiled me and things like that as being the youngest. But when it comes to as far as the material stuff, like my brothers got their college paid for, all that stuff. They got my parents bought them a car. When it was my turn, dude, no more money for any of that. No, you're paying your own college. You're paying for your own car. You know what I mean? So that's where, and that's how I see the 49ers. It's like, you know, when they paid Jimmy that big contract, man, they had cap to burn. He's the first kid, right? They had cap to burn. They had to put people in the seats. It didn't matter how much they spent, right? Actually, they had to spend money because people were probably saying, damn, man, you cheap ass Yorks, you better spend some money. Right? So they had to show that they were trying to put a team. But now we have what, 6, 7 big signings since? And I'm saying Deebo deserves it, but people got to relax and thinking that, hey, he deserves whatever he should get. You know, it's more complicated than that. You know what I mean? So that's
yeah, and it is with the 49ers, to be fair, right? And so that's why he may end up getting paid somewhere else, because Deebo also deserves to get what he's worth, right? And so that's where it comes in, and that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
And you have to like limbo a little bit, right? And so maybe that means he goes somewhere else. I hope that's not the case, but it is a possibility. Swan Song, I gotta get to these guys. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in as always. And we'll talk on Twitter and, you know, next week here as well.
Right on. Thank you.
All right, brother. Later. Tobin came in with a couple super chats. The first one, he was saying, man, if I hear we got to give this man his money one more time. And then this one, he says, defensive ends will always be more rare than wide receivers. It's nature. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like, I still think the market is the market. Defensive ends, highly touted defensive ends, get drafted at a higher rate than wide receivers. Like, you're going to spend the second overall pick on a Bosa, not a Deebo, right? And so that's just the way the league works. So I agree with you there. But at the same time, I also would say, like, Deebo, listen, whatever the league thinks he's worth, he deserves to get. So I understand where Deebo is coming from, but it's a sticky situation for sure. Appreciate you for the super chats. Let me throw you some love. Then I'm going to get over to Kenyon, and then Wheels Up, and then Not Your Average Sports Kid, and then hopefully Jamal calls and ends it. But if not, I'll end it after Not Your Average Sports Kid. Let me show you some love, and then we'll get over. All right, I think I'm going to remove this one because you're in here twice. I think you were having issues with that one. Kenyon, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Jesse?
All right, I got you. Okay, there was two of you back there, so I didn't know which one was which, but I think we're good. No, you're good. You're good. So, you must have had some technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, it kicked me out twice, but we're good now.
Oh, perfect. Gotta love StreamYard, man. Gotta love StreamYard.
All right, so let me start off with this, Jesse. So gas prices are highly inflated right now, right?
Yeah.
Do you still go and pump your gas and fill your tank so you can get to where you got to get to?
Got to. You don't have a choice.
Okay, so the wide receiver market is kind of inflated right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the goal not to get to a Super Bowl?
Oh, the goal is definitely to get to a Super Bowl. You got to get there.
Does Deebo not give us one hell of a chance to make it there?
1,000% he does. Yes.
So what are we talking about?
I love it. That's good. It's hey,
You feel
listen.
me?
Yeah, I do. I definitely feel you. Yes. Okay. So then the question is there an amount that's too much?
So if rumors are true and he's asking for 25 mil, give him his 25 mil. I'm pretty sure all he's worried about is the guaranteed money. If we're going to play this hardball with the Niners and they only give a certain amount, if they really want to keep him and really keep him and try to make that push, bump it up a little bit. You know, you paid all this money to Jimmy, and what did we get from it? A couple of appearances, but we knew after 2019 what Jimmy was.
Yep.
So
no, I listen. I think that's a hell of an analogy, and I'm with you. Like I said, 2 months ago, I said 4 years, 100 million, 70 guarantee, and I know that makes him the highest paid guy when it comes to guarantees. But it's funny that now I'm hearing him say 25 million when that was my offer the whole time. Like if I was the 49ers, that was my offer the whole time, and I was cool with that. So what he's asking for and what I'm personally, if I'm running the team, willing to give him is literally lockstep with each other. So what he's asking for, I'm with you 100%. We got to do it. Now, the rumor came out a couple of days ago, and I never believed it. But the rumor was, well, he wants to get the more guaranteed money than anybody that's a non-quarterback. And I'm like, first of all, I don't think that's true. But if it is, that's where I'm drawing the line. That is where I'm saying no. So, but this $25 million, this mark that he has in mind or seems to have in mind, I'm on board with that 1,000%.
Oh yeah. So my other issue is nobody was worried about Jimmy's number. Like we just started really complaining about Jimmy's number, right? Right. We just got on to that. Yeah. So why is everybody worried about Deebo's number? Like they're counting his pockets, like it's coming out of our pocket,
For sure.
The big thing I hear is, well, we still got to pay Bosa. Bosa's going to want 30 million. We're going to be having the same conversation when it comes to Bosa, right?
Yeah.
Is there not a way for us to get Deebo done and out the way early? Because a lot of people don't want to pay him early because he has another year. I guarantee you play around with that man and his money, you're not going to get the same Deebo this season. And then with Bosa's not pushing it right now. Why not worry about that next season? After the market goes up, after you structured Deebo's contract, after you got rid of Jimmy's money, and did what you had to do.
Yeah. By the way, I also am. My whole thought with Bosa is that he wants to actually wait until next offseason. That I always got that feeling from him, just the way that his brother played it, the way his family's always been. They also have money, right? Like the Bosas are fine. So. Oh, yeah. I think to them, the pay is less about the money and more about the ego thing, right? It's the same thing that happened with Trent Williams. He wanted a specific amount, and it was a very little amount more than what Bakhtiari got, just so that he could say he was the highest paid. Like it was minimal. It was like $100,000 a year or something like that. Like nothing big when you look at the overarching agreement. But that's the way I feel Bosa is. I feel like he knows if he balls out one more year, that money goes up. Instead of getting $30 million a year this offseason, he can get $35 million a year next offseason, right? And so I feel like that's the route he's going to take. Now, I could be wrong. I may be reading the Bosa situation wrong. But yes, you can wait on Bosa because you have that extra year. And secondly, I think Bosa wants to wait. So the priority is and has always been get the Deebo deal done, period.
Exactly. So my last point, because I'm gonna let you go ahead and keep pushing. This whole social media thing, man. I get it. It's slow. We're in the off season. It's something to talk about. But you ever seen that couple that's dating and then they break up and everything? You could tell on social media, oh, they're not together no more. They get back together and it's all there again, and they just do this little dance on and off. That's what these younger cats do. I don't pay attention to social media stuff. The social media stuff gets you blocked. Ask Grant. Like, man, stop putting so much into it. It's social media. It really don't matter. I don't care what you say on social media. As long as comes time for the season, you're ready to play.
And by the way, I think that's kind of what my argument's been also is like everybody's like, oh, he's a diva, he's this, he's what. When Deebo's on the field, we know what Deebo brings to the table, right? Like Deebo is going to give it his all. So I'm not concerned with what Deebo's doing on social media from that standpoint. But my whole point of that there is some urgency here is if for any reason you feel like you guys cannot come together, they got to figure it out early because the draft is 2 weeks away. You're not going to trade Deebo after the draft and get future picks because that doesn't help you win now, right? We just talked about how this is a Super Bowl team. So if you genuinely feel like you guys are that far apart, we're going to know the answer to this question in less than 2 weeks. Once this 2 weeks passes, that draft comes and goes and Deebo Samuel's still on this team, there is no reason to worry about it whatsoever. But I think Deebo knows also that the draft's around the corner. And if he feels like they're that far apart, he's got to get a little bit desperate and do the social media route so that he can press the issue to say, listen, you got to pay me. Like, you got to let me know it's going to be okay at the very, very least. And we're going to move on and we're going to be good. But if we're this far apart, like, I'm going to get paid. I'm going to get paid. So I think that's where we're at. I think that that's why this situation is a little bit more urgent than what some people want to make it. But we're going to know the answer to this question very, very soon. Less than just over 2 weeks, we're going to know how this thing's about to play out.
Oh, yeah. So that's all I got. Don't let all this stuff, with the social media stuff, cloud y'all. The thing we need to be worried about is when they go announce Trey as our starter. Don't let this cloud y'all.
All right. Yes. And that's coming. That's coming.
But all right, Jesse, I appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Later.
All right, night.
That was a great call, man. Great call. I love it too. I knew where he was going, but I let him put me together because I think the chat needed to hear that. And that was a great way to start it. We're going to go Wheels Up. We're going to go Steven. And then we're going to go Jamal. Jamal, you should see it. I put it in our private chat, but I had to pull it because people keep jumping in and it's midnight over here. So you know how that goes. There you go. You're in. All right. Wheels Up. What's up, Wheels Up? How you doing? Been a while.
How you doing, Brian? You got me,
I'm doing
right?
good, man. I got you. Yes.
Yeah, I had to call from my phone because of my work. But here, man, I wanted to. We've been talking a lot. You've been talking a lot about your 49ers and like what you should do with Deebo and like how it affects your team, both like on the field and off the field, right? The man's money and the team and all that. And I think it's important, especially in a week like this where we lost the young man in Haskins and then we lose an older guy in Godfrey. And like, I think those two parallels are interesting because here you got a guy who is a bit older and, was a comedian. And then you got a guy that's directly connected to the, football with Haskins, obviously a younger man. And I think overall, what we can learn from both scenarios is no matter.
Oh, no. I lost him. No. Wheels Up. Jump out and jump back in if you can. Dang. All right. I'm going to give him a second. Because I liked where he was going with that. So I want to give him a second. See if there he is. Okay, perfect. All right. You're back at it, Wheels Up.
I'm sorry for the technical difficulties, sir.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
I don't know where I left off, man.
So I lost you. You were talking about losing a young man, losing a comedian, and then the parallels, and that's where you stopped.
Yeah, like the parallels between, losing a young guy and losing an old guy in the same week. I think we can learn from that. It's like this argument with the team versus Deebo, or like none of it really matters at the end of the day, right? Like whether you side with the team or you side with Deebo, it's a business, right? But that young man wants to take care of his family, just like the owner of the 49ers wants to take care of his family. Just like the reason you watch football is to take care of your family. It's like that might be your relaxation from a busy week or a busy month or, work stress, things like that. So what I want to know from you to kind of give a break from this conversation, because I mean, I could be like the 1,000th caller to tell you that Deebo Samuel is a valuable wide receiver. We all know that.
Yeah.
Or I could tell you, hey, the 49ers is a $1 billion organization and the NFL makes a lot of money. We all know that. or that you want the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. Well, of course.
Oh, wheels up. Lost you again. Hold on. Are you back? Golly. You know what's crazy too is Wheels Up's called it a couple times. I like his name because it's a play off of his life situation. And I love that. But he's always got something to make me think. And he's not a 49er fan, but he's always got something to make me think. So I'm curious to see where he was going with that. I'm going to kick him out. And then hopefully that's an indicator that I can't hear him and he can jump back in. I want to give him one more shot here because I want to see where he was going. He's always got an interesting question. So I want to see if he brings it back real quick. And then I got Jamal waiting, and we're gonna round it out that way. But hopefully, Wheels Up gets back in here real quick. Zach says, "Where's Jimmy G going?" I don't know. Chances are he's probably going to get cut when he's healthy, and they can save the full $25 million, and then he's going to be a backup. Maybe he'll be back up for Mac Jones. Maybe he'll end up back with the Patriots. I don't know. Maybe he'll end up with who knows. Shoot, Washington? Nah, I don't think he wants to go to Washington. I don't know. He'll end up probably a backup somewhere, most likely, or competing in a competition, but hopefully not in San Francisco. I don't know where the hell he's going to end up. All right, Wheels Up. I tried, man. I wish I could hear what you had to say, but I'm going to get to Jamal. What up, Jamal?
What up, Jesse? You can hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Sweet. Good to see you, bro. I just be in here trolling. I be in here trolling all the time. I gotta give you a hard time sometimes.
It's funny, like between you and Shay, man, when you guys are in here, my admins don't know how to handle you guys. They're like, well, I don't know what to do because he just paid, right? And so I can't like block that comment because it's money to Jesse, but like they're kind of talking crap. So what do I do here? I love it.
Okay, maybe I'll stop. If it's gonna cause too much of a problem, I'll stop.
No, I think it's hilarious. I'm all about it. I'm all about it, man. You do your thing.
No, so yeah, I wanted to talk about Deebo Samuel a little bit too. And what I've said, I'm sure you've heard it because you've been in a lot of spaces. We go to spaces often together. Yeah. But I want to talk about it from a different angle. And I know you've heard it because you were in this space the other day when I was talking about it. For whatever reason, I got really passionate about it, actually. And I could tell how angry I was in the way I was speaking about it. I'm more calm now, so that's a good thing. But I wanted to get your opinion because I believe at the time you were just a listener at the time. So my thing is, obviously, like most people, I would like Deebo to get paid. But yes, there is a limit, right? And so if it ever does get to a situation where it is untenable and they have to trade him, I understand that. And so, like I said yesterday on 98's Nonsense, if you guys are interested, subscribe to that, by the way. If it gets to that point, picks, because I want multiple shots at the well to improve the team for a player as elite as Deebo Samuel is. That being said, I'd like Deebo to stay on the team 100%. That would be my ideal scenario. With that being said, too, you hear a lot of people, and this is kind of why I guess I get emotional or, I get, kind of up in the arms about it, because there's a lot of people that talk about, well, the offense is going to look different with Trey Lance, right? Because we're going to attempt more shots down the field. I used the word aggressive last night, and sometimes when people say aggressive, you think that might be more you might be reckless with it, but I think it's going to be the exact opposite. Trey Lance is not a reckless quarterback. He's going to be aggressive in that if there's chances down the field, he'll take his shots 100%. But I think that he's not aggressive in terms of just being reckless. So sometimes people hear that word aggressive and think it's just going to be all haywire, crazy. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is with Trey Lance versus Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback, the offense, the whole field will be open. So that means there should be more space, right? So with a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, we saw what Deebo Samuel did this year, 1,405 yards, and was on pace to have about 1,800 yards receiving, by the way, not just doing the things in the backfield. As a receiver, he was on pace to have almost 1,800 yards before certain injuries required him to move to the backfield and then start, the end arounds, getting straight handoffs, things like that, where he became a runner. So he's been asked to do pretty much anything and everything, and he's been able to be elite at the things he was asked to do. scoring more touchdowns, rushing than a Dalvin Cook and a few other elite running backs. He did that. He also received and caught 8 touchdowns, or 6. I think it was 6 touchdowns. And so he had 14 total touchdowns. But the reason I'm mentioning these is he still averaged 18.2 yards per route in an offense where with Jimmy Garoppolo, he rarely attempts to throw the ball down the field. 7% of Jimmy Garoppolo's attempts this year, 20 plus yards down the field. He only attempted, my bad. He only threw the ball 20 plus yards downfield 7% of the time. Trey Lance in his limited opportunity was at 18% with attempts 20 plus yards down the field. So for a guy like Deebo Samuel to have 18.2 yards per route in an offense where he's getting, slant, routes running over the middle, slants, intermediate, behind the line of scrimmage. 18.2 is filthy to me. That's sick. Brandon Ayuk, on the other hand, had 14.8. And this is no shot at either one of them, right? With the first half of the season, I'd say the first, 4 games of the season, Brandon Ayuk was almost essentially playing the Travis Benjamin role, right? He was supposed to be the clear out, and he was really not part of the offense. We understand. We all know that. So I mentioned those things just because if Trey Lance is going to come in and take over and the offense is going to look different, like a lot of people are saying, and there's going to be more space, does that not make Deebo Samuel more efficient or even more potent, right? So his numbers might decrease because you might have a quarterback who's willing to use all of the weapons because he can use all of the field. So you're going to have potentially a George Kittle who's going to potentially have an increase in targets. I think that's great for a rookie first-year starting quarterback. I think that's great to have a safety blanket like a George Kittle or a Deebo Samuel, and then a deep threat and an intermediate and a more seasoned route runner in Brandon Ayuk. So because we have all these different types of guys, doesn't that bode well for a guy like Deebo Samuel to have more room to be a Swiss Army knife? And the last thing I'll say, then I want to turn it over to you because I want to get your thoughts. People talk about his route running and that being the reason why maybe it would be, we could move off of him. I think it's a little overstated that he's not the greatest route runner. There's a lot of guys in the league who are not insanely great route runners, but are still, solid wide receivers, right? And there's also but I also think that there's not a lot of guys who are like Deebo Samuel. We all believe his short area quickness and just his acceleration is elite. This is a dude that's 5'11", 6 foot, but he outruns angles really like almost no one I've ever seen, especially on the sideline. It's almost insane the things he can do at his size. Although he's a shorter guy, we all know he's very beefy. So I'm kind of curious why you think people are saying that we should move off of him. Yes, I understand it will look different, but I don't understand how people aren't correlating that to be even more efficient or more potent of a player who's a threat to score anytime he touches the ball.
Yeah, well, I also think this, so I made the comment that I think Deebo's skill set might play better with Jimmy being inept, right? But at the same time, when I step back even a further step from that conversation, I don't think that's a bad thing, right? Like, even if Deebo gets paid, I don't want his usage to be what it was last year. Like, I don't want 1,800 yards from him. I want other guys to contribute. I want Ayuk to get 1,100, 1,200. I want Kittle to get over 1,000. I want the running backs utilized a little bit, right? So for me, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because I don't want to, the last thing I want to do is give somebody a lot of money and then drive them into the ground so they're gone in 2 years. Right. I don't want that to happen. And so I agree with you. I feel like Deebo can do it all. But I think even based off of what we saw in college, like, this man, he's elite in 2 areas. So I think route running can be broken up into many different aspects, right? And when you get upfield, do all your routes look the same, right? When you stem one way versus the other, does it look the same, right? And people look at that as route running. And I think that's the only thing they really look at. But there's also another aspect of that, and it's how well you can get off the line, right? Even if all your routes don't look perfect and pristine and pretty, if you're getting off the line at a high clip and making it look easy, the rest of it doesn't matter so much. That's where Deebo excels. Then Deebo excels when he has the ball in his hands.
Right.
Even if you're close, if he catches it, he's going to break at least one tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he has a chance, he's going to outrun you also.
Right. He might just run away from you.
Yeah, exactly. So Deebo, he doesn't have the picture perfect route running from beginning to end. But if you remember, even Ayuk talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
He struggled getting off the line, and Deebo's the one that he went to for that help.
Right.
Ayuk probably has better route running on the second half, the things that I talked about earlier, but he couldn't get off the line, so none of it mattered. If he was in a one-on-one situation, was getting jammed, he struggled there. So the rest of it didn't even come into play. So Deebo is an elite route runner, just differently than what people want to think, because they're looking at, does it look the same? You know, how is it when he's out in open space? Can he make a go look like a slant? And you know what I mean?
Right.
That doesn't matter. He's getting off the line so easily because of that short area quickness that you talked about. And even if you do keep up with him, he's going to break that first tackle at a minimum. So the rest of it doesn't matter. And by the way, Deebo can go deep. I would probably prefer Ayuk going deep over Deebo, but we have seen Deebo and we know his mentality. He has the Steve Smith mentality to where if the ball is anywhere near him, it doesn't matter who's in the area. It doesn't matter if he's undersized. He's going to come down with the ball. It's something that Steve Smith had a knack for. And I believe Deebo has that same knack based off of the limited times that we've seen it happen. If the ball is near him, he's coming down with that damn thing.
I agree. And as you're describing that last part there, I think of just the Lions game, right? Game 1, week 1. That's the first one that came to my head as you were just describing that. But I mean, you're absolutely right. Trey Lance had I think it was 3 attempts or 3 completions of 40 plus yards last year. 2 of those went to Deebo Samuel for a touchdown. So I don't want to say annoyed, but because I know that not everyone's going to do certain research or people aren't going to remember off the top of their head. I totally understand that. But I've heard some people say, like, because it's different, because it's going to be a different quarterback, because it's going to be a different offense, then this guy can't do that. Well, we don't even know that because it's been Jimmy Garoppolo his whole time. And then when Jimmy Garoppolo's not playing, it's, backup quarterback level play as well, too. So in my personal opinion, I just think he's going to be even more dangerous next year. I think he could have a better season next year and the numbers be lower, if that makes sense.
I was just going to say that. Yes. No. I was just going to try to, if you didn't go there, that's exactly what I was going to say is we're going to measure it based off of total yards, but he actually might be more potent next year with less quote unquote production. So yes, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it I have to say. Oh, one more thing. So with his contract, I totally understand. I'm not going to talk anything crazy about that because you already know, and we're talking about the guaranteed money. I agree. It does come down to that. But if he were to so let's say he does get a new contract from the 49ers. You want to remind me when that will kick in? When that contract would start?
Well, it wouldn't start really until after this next season.
Exactly. So how old would he be?
He'll be 27.
Going into age 28, right?
Yeah, yep.
Which is exactly in line with what the last few guys that are getting their contract, that's exactly the age that they're at when they get that contract. So to me, it just makes sense because he's not 28 now. He's not going to be getting it later. He'd be getting it, finishing up his age, 27 season, going into age 28. That's good. That's still in his prime. I'd rather do that than when he's 30 years old. And my last little point, if he's going to be playing in this offense that's more wide open, and it's totally understandable to be, have concerns about his injury history. Totally get that. But I also think that if it's going to be more open, I think it's a safer or a less chance that he'll get hurt because we won't see it be so crowded over the middle because teams will have to respect Trey Lance's running ability and the weapons that we have on the outside as well too. So I kind of wanted just to come on and say that and really get your opinion on that. I've been pretty adamant about that. I know for me, and I'm trying to learn this as a content creator, to just put your opinion out there and don't be, apologetic about it. Be unapologetic about it. This is my opinion, and I get kind of annoyed hearing, well, he can't do this or he can't do that, but he's not that great at this. And listen, if people want to call him a diva for the money thing, totally get that. I get that. I may not see it the exact same way, but I can understand why people would say that because they're looking at it in the best interest of the 49ers because you're a fan of the 49ers. So I got no problem with that. So I just wanted to come on and say that, chop it up with you for a couple minutes. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Yeah. Hey, Jamal, you know what? We were going to end it with you, but if I got two more that creeped in, but to be fair, they were on earlier. So I'm going to give them their shot because they've been trying to get in.
No
Jamal,
problem.
I appreciate it, man. That was a great call as always. Absolutely. What, you just changed your Twitter handle on me, right? Am I tripping?
Yeah, it's just the same as my I guess banner name on Twitter, and then I just added 49er on it.
All right. Well, it's funny because you give Davo crap for changing his profile picture, and then you just change your Twitter, which means by the way, I have to go change my channel stuff up because you're always going to be a part of the channel. No, you're good. You're always going to be a part of the channel. You were the first donation once we got monetized on the new channel. And so I put in all the channel facts. And so you're always a part of that. So I got to go change it. But I'll do it for you, man. I appreciate it.
Are you sure? Because I can change it back. I just did it because I was bored.
No, I'm just busting your balls, man. You're good to go. Okay. All right, Jamal. I'll talk to you later, man.
I'll catch you later, bro.
All right, later. I love Jamal, man. All right, William coming in with a couple. I'm going to go not your average sports kid, 9 drinks, and then that's it. All right, so nobody else call in. William comes in with 2 super chats. Says people have to understand that players' agents look at everything, seats, jerseys, sales, etc. So give him his money. Yeah, listen, agents are smart that way. They take everything into account. And then he says Deebo or any of the wide receivers go. Yeah, don't listen. I get it. Yeah, they're not going deep a lot. Or they're not getting the ball deep at the very least because, yes, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. That certainly puts a damper on things, to say the very least. Let me show you some love, man. All right, not your average sports kid. It's been a while since we've talked, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Are you still doing your thing over there? I've got notifications on it. I haven't seen nothing pop up.
I haven't been doing a lot lately, but I just want to talk about all this Deebo situation, and I think it's kind of cool at least to have a lot of news about it. So I'd like constant reminders about it now. But I think there's a lot of things that go into it that people always are going to mess up things. They're going to say a lot of things that I don't agree with or we don't agree with, and that's fine. But some of the things that I've been seeing and hearing are not I feel like, I don't know, they annoy me a little too much. And one of them is, it's not that they say Deebo's a diva. It's the fact that they say that Deebo is not committed to this football team and not giving it his all. I was like, are you kidding me? We're talking about the same guy that's known for crying on live TV because he's sad that he just lost a tough game that he gave it his all playing through injuries.
Dude, not only that, but we watched this man fall apart at the end of multiple games because he left everything on the field. The game against Tennessee was the first one. The game against the Packers, the Rams had happened against, and then yes, he ended the season. Now he's a meme for Rams fans with him crying on the sideline or whatever. But I'm with you, man. And just remind me, I'm pretty sure you're a South Carolina guy as well, right? Or am I tripping on that?
Mm-hmm. No, that's for sure.
Okay, so you knew Deebo before he was introduced to 49er fans. You knew who Deebo was. So Deebo, if you're saying Deebo's all in and shows that and being all in, you saw that at the college level even.
Mm-hmm. He's been playing like this for a while. He's never really been like this type of player though. Like I've said this for a while. He was actually a really, really good deep threat in college. I saw a video pop up by the SF Niners or San Francisco 49ers, whatever his thing is now. But he's been blowing up. Shout out to him. He's got a ton of like little shorts he's been putting out. But I saw one is like it was a video the other day is like just watched over Deebo Samuel's college highlights. They are insane. And like people are surprised at what he's doing. And I watched it. It's like he's doing the exact same thing. Like I saw one clip was specifically when we played Florida. I think he had like a 97 touchdown catch or something. And he caught like it was a slant, broke a tackle, and went all the way. It's the exact same thing we're seeing now. It's just people aren't understanding. Like people like it was seen in a different way in college. Different way in college meaning like he would catch the ball more deep, which that is limited because of Jimmy. But in college it was more he had more hands. Like people like I don't want to say like crap on him for his hands, but he's not known for that anymore.
Yeah.
He's known for his physical, I don't know, it's like body type, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
In college, he was known for like the best hands. Like he would constantly make one-hand catches in corners of the end zone. He would constantly like make like maul someone. Like he would get more catches than like runs than a lot of other things. Like the slants were the same. The deep balls, he never really caught it and then like ran deep. He was just gone most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the same things are popping up, with deep ends, deep like slants, reverses. They're all the same. They're the exact same thing, and people are surprised about it. And it's crazy to me because it's been, right over under our noses this whole time.
Yeah, and that's I love that you say that because we've only seen and Jamal was just talking about this, by the way. But we've only seen Deebo from the Niners perspective with Jimmy Garoppolo, and people forget or never knew what he actually was in college. And he was similar, but also very different. And I think that is important to point out because again, to Jamal's point, a lot of people want to put him in this box of, oh, he's this player, he's this player, he's this player. But reality was he's adapted into becoming this player because that's what was given to him. When reality is he can beat people deep and he did it often at the college level. Maybe that's how he prefers to play. Do you think he really likes to be taking the ball up the middle and turn into a running back? Probably not. Probably not his favorite thing, but he does it because he does put the team first when it comes to being on the field. And so now we're at a standpoint where he's putting himself first and people are frustrated with that. And it's like, well, I believe that once he's back on the field again, he's going to have that team first mentality and he's going to be willing to, for lack of a better word or context, die out on that field, right? Like he's going to give his all.
He wants what's best. Like it may seem like it. Like see some people. I heard somebody say on Grant's show. They said he has the jewelry is over the football. He's not gonna go die for jewelry. Like he's not gonna go like absolutely destroy his body for jewelry. I mean maybe, but I don't know. But he's been like I will say this, which was kind of surprising to me I kind of called this in the beginning of the year, which he kind of shows trends in his injury. And I called this before I went on Grant's show one time. I went over like all the stats in college and what it looked like in the NFL. And he has the exact same, like, I want to say like injury, like game status. Like in college, you play 12 games. In the NFL, you'll play 17 now, but earlier it was 16. If you like say divvy him up to like how many games he'll play, they were like his first 2 years, like compared to what they are now, first 3 years compared to what they were in college, they're literally the exact same. I said he was going to miss a couple games this year. I thought he was going to miss 1 or 2. like 2 or 3 maybe, and he missed like 1. So I feel like he's very I don't know how to say this. He's very consistent in his trends, and he's gonna give it his all. But what I find really weird, I feel like I'm going on like a rabbit hole right now.
No,
But
you're
what
good.
I found weird is like the way he goes on these trends and stuff. I feel like he almost knows how it's gonna happen, and he's like almost prepared for it. And I don't even know how I'm gonna say this, but it's like really, really weird how
He just knows his body, right? Like he knows
his
what to
body. Yeah,
expect.
that's
He knows what he's feeling. He knows how to navigate through that and when to push through it and when to continue to go. Yeah, I get it. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, his body keeps showing these trends, and he knows when it's gonna happen exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. Yeah, listen, that was a great point. I appreciate you kept coming in. I saw you popping in, popping out. It's really good to hear from you, man. I'm glad everything seems to be going good for you. I wish you were pumping out content still, but you're being a kid and whatnot. Are you playing any sports right now? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I've been going through a lot of basketball. I think I just got out of my season like a couple weeks ago. So
There you go. All right. You going to go to any South Carolina games this year?
Oh heck yeah, we got spring game this week.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. All right, brother. Hey, it was good hearing from you, man. Don't be a stranger. All right.
All right, you too.
All right, brother. Good kid, man. Good kid. All right. 9 drinks. What's up, 9 drinks?
Hey, how you doing, Jess?
Doing good. Why is it 9 drinks though? Why is it not 8 or 10 drinks?
Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say it. My last name is Nine.
Your last name's what? What is it?
It's Dutch. No one pronounces it.
You're cutting out a ton. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're cutting up a ton. Hop out and hop back in if you can. Hop out and hop back in. Dude, I can't get him. Well, Wheels Up Podcast is in, so I'm gonna go back to him. And hopefully 9 drinks can get it straightened out. His just keeps going back and forth. All right, Wheels Up Podcast. You had a question for me. Try to get it off before you get cut again.
All right, brother. I'm sorry, man. I was getting off of work. I was on my phone, but I should be good now that I'm back on my computer. So,
all right.
I just want to make this point really fast, though, because I think we lost 2 people that they become different parallels, different age groups. But I think we can learn from this scenario as you guys kind of navigate the importance of sports and just like the human element of it, right? So, like. You guys have been debating a lot whether Deebo Samuel is worth the money, and then like whether you take the player side or the owner side. But to me, it's like losing Dwayne Haskins puts things in perspective, and then losing a guy like Gilbert Gottfried. Totally different people, totally different perspectives, totally different generations, right? Just like owner to player, right? There is no right or wrong answer. Deebo Samuel deserves his money, right? He deserves to be able to take care of his family. And the owner deserves to make his money because there's not very many franchises out there. So if you own an NFL franchise, you have the right to market it however you want. So both things can be true, just like we can celebrate both individuals, lives with Gilbert Godfrey and then losing Haskins, and we can say we lost them both too early, right? And they had impacts on different fields, and sometimes there's crossover. And that's what I need to say here is you can like the 49ers and still want Deebo Samuel to get his money. You can like Deebo Samuel the player and still want to support his family. At the end of the day, we don't go to the bakery and get our favorite donut and then ask the chef how much money he makes, or if his kids go to private school or they go to public school. Like, I don't understand why in sports we feel like it gives us the license to know these guys on a personal level. And I understand this generation or this like technology era. Maybe it's not this generation's fault. Maybe it's not the people's fault, but maybe it's the technology's fault, the way of the world now. That we have Twitter and we have more access than ever. That we feel like we have the right to uh, dictate or influence how people, personally spend their money. Like Deebo has the right to demand money, just like if you're a contract worker and your contract runs out, you're allowed to go to your boss and say, "I think my value is this." Your boss then has the right to say, "No, I think it's this." You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, but but if I'm your coworker, I can still be your friend and I can still be your coworker at the same time. And the relationships don't have to mix. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't understand why we have to be so black and white in our thinking. And that leads me to my second question is I started a podcast recently, Wheels Up Podcast, where I focus on DFS from a emotional standpoint. For people that don't know, DFS is daily fantasy sports. Okay, and gambling gets a bad rap because people think you're a degenerate, you waste all your money, you're gonna lose your home. But I've made more friends and I met more smart sports people in sports gambling than you would ever imagine. Like smart investors, people that invest in smart projects. So my question to you is this weekend, why do we watch sports? Okay. Like what obviously you want the 49ers to win the Super Bowl, okay, right? Like
Mhm.
that's the goal. But I want you to focus on two things and I'll hang up and listen. So outside of winning the Super Bowl, that's the end result. What does sports give you as a person on every Sunday? Like what does it do for you? So you go to work Monday through Friday, you chill on the weekends to watch sports. Why do you do it? Like, what intrinsically pulls you to watch sports, to care about the 49ers, to really invest? Like, what's that emotional tie? Because that's what I focus on my podcast. I use sports as a launching pad to find out what intrinsically motivates people. That's the goal of my podcast. And so, secondly, I want to know from you also why people dog the United States Football League that's starting this weekend. Because you guys talked a lot about Deebo Samuel and getting money and wanting to be on player sides. But then why are we dogging this United States Football League when your boy Victor Bolden, who used to play for the 49ers, is going to be a star over there? He couldn't make it in the NFL, but he's going to be a star potentially in the United States Football League. So if you're a 49ers fan, if you're a fan of player first movement, sports, and you really want to invest in players, then why don't we embrace competition?
I'm with it.
People say that in all industries. They'll say like, "Oh well, I don't like Jeff Bezos because he makes too much money. I don't want him in the NFL. I don't want him to own the Redskins. I don't like Amazon." But then they'll shop at Walmart. It's like it's the same thing. If you really mean what you say, you got to support the underdog. You got to support your local bakery. You got to go to that guy, that's doing the dishes at 12:30 at night. You know what I'm saying? Or you don't. Like I'm not saying you have to, but at least practice what you preach. And that's kind of what I want to get to as you close up shop. Like what made you a sports fan? What keeps you a sports fan outside of winning and losing? Like those, because I would love. I mean, you're bigger than me, obviously. If you could ever give me the time of day to come on my podcast when I get big enough. But at least if I can clip this and then use it in my podcast just for a 10-minute video of what emotionally pulls you to sports. For me, it's connection. It's being around friends, family, like barbecues, tailgate. Like, of course, we want the Lions to win, but like at the end of the day, it's all that interconnection. Like, I would have never met you if I didn't love sports, but I met you, and then I care about your surgery, and I care about your health, and I hope you're doing good, brother. By the way, and like, how
Thank you,
things
man.
branch off like that. That's like legit. Like that's how things happen.
I love it, man. And by the way, I'm not too big for anybody. So if you ever want me to come on or you got a proposal of a show that you want to do over here, by all means, man, you send it my way. So never too big for anybody, man. We're all just people trying to get this thing going. So whatever you got, man, feel free to reach out. If nothing else, I don't know if you do Twitter, but you can find me there or
Oh yeah, yeah,
in the
for sure, brother. I just want to make sure I'm established first. I don't want to.
no, yeah, however you want to do it, man. Early, late, whatever. I just
Right.
want you to know that I don't care if you have 0 subscribers or 1 million subscribers. I'm down. So don't
I
worry about that
appreciate
stuff.
that.
All right, brother. I'll answer your question offline though. Okay.
All right, take care, man. Thanks for
All right,
having
man. Yeah, absolutely. He's always got good questions for me. 9 drinks, dude. I don't know what's going on. I cannot load you back in. So I'm gonna answer wheels up question and I'm gonna end it, man. I'm sorry. I know you kept trying to get in and get out. I don't know what's going on. StreamYard's tripping. I appreciate you for tuning in. I know you're a Lions guy, so you probably pay more attention to Rad's side of things. But we appreciate you. I wish I could get you in, but I can't get it figured out. Okay. So let me switch this banner over and then I want to answer his questions and we'll put a bow on this thing. Let's see. All right, cool. Okay, so first of all, let me get to the super chat. Did you hear what Ward said about Lance in practice? I did not hear that. I heard a lot of what Ward said, but I didn't hear about the practice portion of it. So definitely elaborate. I'm sure it was probably something good because the defense is who played against Trey Lance a lot, right? So I'm pretty sure they have good things to say because they've seen this kid play a ton. So I've got to imagine that it's good. But I appreciate it. If you could just tell me what he said, let me give you some love, and then I'm gonna answer those questions and wrap up. All right. So his first question is what got me into sports and what motivates me to continue watching sports? Okay. So for me, I didn't really get into like sports, playing sports and whatnot until I was probably around 10, 12 years old. A little bit older, right? Like usually kids get in much younger, but around 6 or so, my dad was a huge 49er fan. He was born in San Diego, moved to Portland, Oregon, was adopted, and was just a 49er fan. And so naturally, he would watch games. So I would watch games at a young age. And at this time, I lived with my mom. And so I would watch every other week with my dad, right? Because he had me like every other weekend. And my childhood, like my life away from my dad, when I was living with my mom, was not the best. I won't get into details, but definitely wasn't ideal. I'll just say that. And so the 49ers for me, even when I was with my mom, that was like my outlet to get away from the craziness and chaotic stuff that was going on in my life at that time. So I would use them as a crutch then. And then, of course, when I was with my dad, we would watch the games together. So that's how I became a 49er fan. And then as I got older, I started playing sports, extremely competitive person, like almost to a detriment. As I've gotten older, I've eased off a little bit, but like I'm still the guy that if we're playing pickup basketball at 24-hour fitness or whatever, I'm talking trash. Like that's just who I am. And it's not to be malicious, but that's what gets me going. It's almost like I'm putting pressure on myself so that I can play better. That's the way I've always been. So hardcore competitor, and then naturally, emotionally, you get invested in these teams. And so from a competitive nature, I want my team to win and to be the best. So that's how the 49er fan started for me. Now I'm a fan of other sports, but the 49ers to me are like A1, grade 1. All my other teams can be crappy, but if the 49ers are good, I'm good. So for me, that's how I became a fan. My dad passed away a couple years ago during that Super Bowl run that the 49ers made in 2019, or just before that, rather. The very next season was that 2019 season. And so that season was really, really special to me as a fan because you get this thought that, oh, maybe my dad has a part of this, right? Or maybe he's watching this, or maybe he's sending some luck the 49ers way. And obviously they fell short in the Super Bowl and whatnot. But, for me, that was a very special year. And, now I've got kids of my own. My youngest is really into football, and he hasn't taken to the 49ers per se, but overall, just being able to talk football with him, teach him the game, that's very special to me as well. And then you asked about the the USFL, I think is what it is. Yeah, so interesting, right? It is a smaller league, I believe about 8 teams. I think they have a team here in Tampa. I think people should be excited about it. I think people should support it. Tickets are extremely cheap. It's like $30 for decent seats. And there's a lot of guys who are extremely talented that leave college football and don't make it to the NFL, but they're very, very close. So this is a way for them to showcase their talent and still have a shot to make it to the NFL. And I know it's pretty much innately built into who we are as humans. We have this feeling and love for the underdog. And that's what that whole league is. It's filled with underdogs. So for me, you should support that league or any other small league to the best of your ability, right? You may not get as invested as you do to the 49ers or Lions or whoever you're a fan of. But at the end of the day, seeing these guys and knowing who they are in case they make it to the next level, I think that that's probably something worth paying attention to. Plus, the football season's pretty short. So if you can get another season to kind of fall in love with a little bit, I think that's probably worth it. So I don't know why it gets a bad rap, man. I think that the more the merrier. Plus, it's very different. They have like a 3-point conversion. They have some cool different things that they've added into the game. So I really like that a lot. I appreciate the questions. I think that was cool, man. That was outside the box. Got me thinking a little bit. But I think great questions. Appreciate you. And like I said, feel free to reach out anytime if you ever want to link up and do a show. Nobody is too big for anybody here. So you just let me know. But to the 93 of you that are still watching, damn, you guys just stuck with me for damn near 3 hours plus probably an hour over on Grant's show. I really appreciate each and every one of you. To everybody that tapped in, everybody that called, you are the ones that make this show extremely special. We are getting close. 5,300 subscribers. We're right there. Just about 150 or so away, 160 away. Once we reach that, we are giving away the Joe Montana, Mitchell and Ness jersey. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel. You will be entered into that drawing. But I'm going to call it a night. Appreciate each and every one of you. Stay blessed. And I will be back at it tomorrow with Jack on his channel. And then here with my partner, Last Second Sports. Appreciate y'all. Have a beautiful night.